Madam Mayor, it is 6:03 and
Commission meeting of Thursday, May 19th, 2022. We are, please, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Betty Resch. Mayor, it is 6:03.
Yes?
Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes.
Here.
Commissioner Ronaldo Diaz.
Here.
The invocation will be led by Commissioner Maliga.
I'd like to bow our heads today in thanks and praise for all that we have. May we pray for those who are in less fortunate situations than we are, and be mindful of all the blessings that we have day in and day out. May you lead us in our decision-making process. May we continue to be kind with each other, soft with our words and our actions. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Commissioner McVoy will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have quite a few.
And I'm going to beg everyone's help with keeping it straight.
Okay. Presentation A, the legislative session update by State Representative David Silvers was deleted from the agenda and will be rescheduled for the June 21st meeting. Presentation H, Oceanfront Echo Park by Jill Carlin was deleted and will be rescheduled to a future meeting. And then consent item A, resolution 32-2022, support for the additional traffic calming measures on Federal Highway was deleted from the agenda and will be heard at the June 21st meeting. And then there were additions. There was a presentation I, which is a proclamation declaring June 3rd as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. An item for the third-party negotiator for the Gulfstream Hotel project was added to the city attorney's report, and the report was reordered to immediately follow the city manager's report. And then new business item C, resolution number 34-2022, supporting the Lake Worth Beach Attainable Housing Project with social service support was added. And we have 3 corrections to the agenda. Attorney Richard Grosso's hourly salary was $325, not $375 as listed. And then the correct date for the Ocean Rescue Day proclamation, which is on the agenda, is May 23rd. And the correct dates for National Beach Safety Week are May 23rd through the 30th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The ocean rescue date was changed. What was changed about that?
Yes, it was originally listed as the 19th. It is May 23rd this year.
Okay.
Yeah, you have the correct version. The agenda was incorrect.
Thank you very much. All right. Do I have a motion on the amended agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We have presentations, and we have a presentation regarding the FDOT TPA improvements for the circle by George Mespons. Is he here? There he is. You're up. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you had given us a presentation, I believe in January regarding this.
Goes to the EDI, pandemic over 95. But this one, that one.
The circle.
This is,
Speaking of Mike.
yes, and this will be a lot simpler than the previous one.
You really need to keep, we have learned, you really need to keep your mouth close to the
The mic,
microphone
Okay.
for folks out there to hear.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
So good evening. Thank you very much for inviting us to present this project. It's a pedestrian improvement project along Lakewood Road and a section of the Lakewood One Drive. with me today, as you mentioned, we have George Maspons. He's the designer of the project. My name is Humberto Arrieta. I'm the FDOT project manager. And this is basically the scope of work that we are doing right now along Lakeward Drive, Lakeward Road, sorry. We have improvements for the lighting. We have some improvement to the roundabout. And we have a relocation of Midwater Crossing. Also along the Lake Osborne, we're introducing more sidewalk and we're adding a Midwater Crossing. For the technical details, I'm going to turn it over to George Maspons.
Thank you, Humberto. What we try to do is break the project up into 3 points, all right? And it's geographical based. So the very first one, which you see up on that board, is really talking about Lake Osborne Drive. We're going to be adding a sidewalk.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. The second one is improvements along Lakeworth Road that do not include the roundabout. And the third one is the roundabout. With that said, okay, this is the very first slide, and this is along Lake Osborne Drive. We're adding a sidewalk on only the east side. And it's starting roughly around Griswold and it's going all the way up to Cleveland. It's a 6-foot sidewalk and it's basically at the right-of-way line. The other thing that we're doing is we're adding a Midwater Crossing with a rapid rectangular flashing beacon. For those that are not familiar with a rapid rectangular flashing beacon, it's basically the same thing as a pedestrian's signal at a crosswalk. You know, it has a push button, and when you push the button, the light flashes and it basically indicates for cars to stop and allow pedestrians to cross. That example there is kind of to give you an idea, but we put it somewhere, you know, where it's not there, so you know it's just to give you an example of it. The other thing that happens when we put in the Midwater Crossing, we'll also be adding lighting. So if there is someone using the crosswalk at night, they'll be obviously much more visible to the motorists.
You're not talking about a raised pedestrian?
No.
Okay,
no,
thank
no,
you.
This is just a straight crosswalk. It's basically like kind of signalized
Right.
intersection. It's just
Thank
same. All right. So that pretty much summarizes everything we're doing along Lake Osborne. Now we go to Lake Worth Road. These are the improvements that are not at the roundabout. The first thing we're doing is we're adding another Midwater Crossing with a rapid rectangular flashing beacon. And it's basically just going just a little west of the railroad tracks. And the reason for that is because there was a study done that was shown to be kind of an area where they had a lot of pedestrian traffic tied to the convenience stores, students, and the tri-rail station. So that was the intent of that. Same thing. It will have additional lighting in that area so that they can be visible at night. Then the other improvement is on the east side of I-95. And it's just, there's a signalized crosswalk there. And actually, we're just improving the crosswalk by making it wider and improving the signals a little bit. And it's all tied to pedestrian improvements tied to the school, basically. All right. Then the final set of improvements. All right. This is at the roundabout itself. All right. The first thing I want to point out is lighting. We are improving the lighting at the roundabout area. There you have decorative lights. So we're adding additional decorative lights and improving the lighting around there. But the segment of Lake Worth Road that goes basically from the roundabout all the way up to where that crosswalk was by tri-rail, we're also improving those lights along there. They're high pressure sodium. They're being swapped out for LED lights, which are brighter. So you'll have an additional improvement to lighting there. Right. The intent of this project was to provide more connectivity in and around the roundabout for pedestrians. So how do you do that? You provide additional crosswalks, provide additional sidewalks. And what you're seeing right there is kind of a depiction of all the new crosswalks that we're providing and the additional sidewalks. We do have on Avenue B, we do have a raised crosswalk. That is a traffic calming measure. The reason that was introduced, because the real problem when you analyze the roundabout happens that in the long Lucerne, what happens is if you're on the outside lane heading west, there's really no incentive for you to slow down. So the only way you can kind of force the slowdown is to introduce some sort of traffic calming measure. And all the studies indicate that the best sort of traffic calming measures are kind of a raised crosswalk.
Where is that located?
That's right there. On the top, I guess where it says
Oh, the most,
commissioner, right there.
The north,
We've been
okay.
introducing one. And if you've never seen one, here's kind of a picture of one in the top corner. Basically what it does is instead of having a curb ramp at the intersections where you walk step down to kind of cross, What they do is they keep the sidewalk at existing elevation. So it's about 6 inches higher than the road. And then what they do is they basically raise the road up to meet that sidewalk. So you have the 10-foot wide crosswalk, and then you have a 6-foot ramp on either side, ramping up to get you across that crosswalk. That kind of summarized the improvements, and just to kind of give you an overview, the intent is hopefully to go to construction sometime next year in the summer, and it should take about 6 months to complete the job. Should be done December, winter of 2023. Construction costs are $1 million. That'll open up the questions.
Any questions? Commissioner McBoyd?
Can you go back to the slide that shows the aerial one with 95 in the middle of the,
This one?
yes, that one. I'm very familiar with that area, both on foot and on bicycle and on car. My only concern about the crosswalks that close to 95, it's very dark under 95. And so the whole area it's not very visible. And I'm concerned that a lot of people would not notice that you got a crosswalk there. And if I remember right, are these the rectangular light things on this one?
They are on the Midwater Crossing. Yeah, you'll have the rapid rectangle.
That one's a little more lit than visible, a little further away from 95, so that's better. My big concern, and we raised this with Jamie last week, is those flashing crosswalks. Somebody pushes it and says, I want to cross. It doesn't put red lights to the traffic. It just blinks,
Yes,
which is very different than the one that you're familiar with a little bit east of the school,
yes,
which is an actual, you push the button and traffic stops dead,
yes, yes.
which is excellent. That provides a lot of safety. I'm concerned about these flashing ones that the kids think that they're safe, but the drivers don't have a clear message. You need to stop. And so you almost build a situation that gives people a false sense of security, and you make the situation less safe rather than more safe. That's my concern with these, especially that's a lot of traffic there, foot traffic, and a lot of car traffic.
I mean, the way that they're done, okay, you have the rapid rectangle flashing because we do put stop bars in. So, you know, there's an indicator on the pavement where you're supposed to stop. There's also additional signage that basically says when the light is flashing, you're supposed to stop. You know, you may be right, but that's how they're designed.
Isn't there, but there's a red light, there's an actual red light, just as you come around, as you're going
The
west.
red lights about where the right hand one is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an additional one, it's an additional
You see
one.
where it says relocated crosswalk?
Yeah.
That one's done on a mast arm. So that's a different type of crosswalk.
And that's is that when you say relocated crosswalk, is that the existing one that has
Yes.
the full-on stoplight?
Yes, exactly. We're relocating it because we're introducing another crosswalk up near the roundabout.
Right.
So to kind of create some space between the two crosswalks, we're moving the other one up like 100 and some feet further west.
Any other question?
If you look on, you can see it now. If you look on that aerial image, you can see the striping.
Right.
So you can
It's
kind of have an
about
idea where it
halfway.
is. Yeah, exactly. It's about halfway between.
Any other question?
Commissioner Malika has her hand raised, Madam Mayor.
Commissioner Maliga?
Thank you. My question is, if you go back to that same slide that Commissioner McBoy was just referencing, are those crosswalks going to work in conjunction when the tri-rail track signals go down? So if the signals are down, are those going to then turn so the people who are waiting to cross can cross safely, knowing that the train is coming through? Is there any connection to the train tracks?
Yes, there will be an interconnect between the push button and the rail track, but it's also designed to allow enough space to make sure that no one should get caught. You know, we look at the largest vehicle and assume, you know, a Swift or whatever would not get caught on the tracks. So when we looked at this, that's precisely why, because the original concept had a crosswalk a lot closer to the railroad tracks, but we ended up moving it roughly somewhere between 60 and 80 feet to create that additional space.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next, we have a proclamation declaring May 23rd, 2022 as Ocean Rescue Day. And we have a proclamation declaring May 23rd to 30th as National Beach Safety Week. And we have some folks in the audience who are intimately acquainted with our beachfront. We have some,
They're in the building.
they're in the building.
Yeah, we saw,
Our ocean rescue folks,
there, I see, Lord, there.
there we go. Come on up. Thank you. And the only thing is Laura Bennett, the Director of Recreation for the City of Lake Worth. Proclamation, whereas Lake Worth Beach Ocean Rescue has an extraordinary group of men and women dedicated to their jobs, keeping our beachgoers safe. And whereas residents and visitors are drawn to the beach each year for water and beach activities. And whereas, although aquatic environment offers fun activities with family and friends, it also presents dangers, particularly rip currents that can be effectively managed through public awareness and the vigilance of professional lifeguards. And whereas our lifeguards have proven to be true hometown heroes through their heroic rescue techniques and quick thinking, their training and teamwork have saved the lives of men and women. And whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach is grateful to the Ocean Rescue Team for their quick response and acts of heroism in performing their duties when it's needed most. Now, therefore, I, Betty Rash, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the Commission, do hereby proclaim May 23rd, 2022 as Lake Worth Beach Ocean Rescue Day. Yes. And I'm going to read in conjunction with that another proclamation because you are the men and women most familiar with our beach. So the next one is National Beach Safety Week. Proclamation, whereas the beautiful coastal and inland beaches of Lake Worth Beach represent a world-renowned recreational resource. And whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach residents and visitors alike are drawn to these beaches by the millions each year for water and beach activities. And whereas the aquatic environment has dangers, particularly rip currents that can be effectively managed through public awareness and the vigilance of professional lifeguards. And whereas, for reasons of public safety, an annual reminder of the joys and hazards associated with the aquatic environment are appropriate at the commencement of the busy summer beach season. And whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach residents and visitors alike must remember, learn to swim, swim near a lifeguard, swim with a buddy, check with the lifeguards, use sunscreen and drink water, obey posted signs and flags, keep the beach and water clean, learn rip current safety, enter water feet first, and wear a life jacket. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the Commission, do hereby proclaim May 23rd to 30th, 2022 as National Beach Safety Week.
Thank you.
You get one.
She's a picture taker.
Please look at you. We really do appreciate it.
We love what we do.
I'm terrified.
Just gotta listen to it.
I love the grants that we have. Are they being used a lot?
A lot.
That's, it's wheelchairs and just people that need real help.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well.
Now we have a proclamation declaring May 2022 as Historic Resources Preservation Month. Is anyone here to accept that? Is Mr. Waters here? No? Okay, I'll just read it. Proclamation, whereas the City of Lake Worth Beach has adopted a historic preservation program that is designed to preserve, protect, and bring awareness to our unique historic resources, which represent defining elements of the city's cultural and social identity, and that serve as visible reminders of the city's vibrant heritage. And whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, while also revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character. Whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals who help preserve the tangible aspects of our built environment that have shaped us as a people. And whereas the city of Lake Worth Beach continues to demonstrate its commitment to preserving our past while planning for a sustainable and resilient future. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me on behalf of the Commission, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as National Preservation Month and Lake Worth Beach Preservation Month. Thank you very much. Moving right along. Yes,
Well, I probably should have tried to reorder earlier, but the one, you have one more proclamation.
Yeah.
That was added.
yes.
Should we do that before?
Tell me,
the
yeah, sure.
presentation?
For the folks that are here.
Yeah, I believe we have people from the gun violence,
Okay, perfect.
from
Yep.
Mothers Against. From the gun violence. From the Mothers Against.
Mothers in the gun violence mothers. Oh, this is a two-pager.
It's a long.
It is a long, I take a sip of water. But it's so important.
Yes,
I mean, as proclamation, and thank you ladies for being here tonight.
thank you.
Whereas every day, more than 110 Americans are killed by gun violence, alongside them more than 220 who are shot and wounded. And on average, there are more than 4,620 people who die from gun violence every year. And whereas Americans are 25 times more likely to die by gun homicide than people in other high-income countries. And whereas in Florida has 3,041 gun deaths every year with a rate of 13.7 deaths per 100,000 people. Florida has the 24th highest rate of gun deaths in the United States. And whereas gun homicides and assaults are concentrated in cities with more than half of all firearm-related gun deaths in the nation occurring in 127 cities. And whereas cities across the nation, including in the city of Lake Worth Beach, are working to end senseless violence with evidence-based solutions. Whereas protecting public safety in the communities they serve is a mayor's highest responsibility. And whereas support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from the people with dangerous histories. And whereas mayors and law enforcement officers know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than ever as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to exacerbate gun violence after more than a year of increased gun sales, increased calls to suicide and domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. Whereas in January 2013, Haida Pendleton was tragically shot and killed at age 15. And on June 3rd, 2022, to recognize the 25th birthday of Haida Pendleton, who was born on June 2nd, 1997, people across the United States will recognize Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange in tribute to Haida Pendleton and other victims of gun violence and to the loved ones of those victims. Whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Haida's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange. They chose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. Whereas anyone can join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 3rd, the first Friday in June 2022, to help raise awareness about gun violence. And by wearing orange on June 3rd, 2022, Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim June 3rd, 2022 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lake Worth Beach to be affixed on this 19th day of May, 2022. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
I would.
Great.
Yeah.
Laura is our history photographer.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Oh, it's
I saw
been
you last year at the AI. It's
Oh, yeah. It does not. It's a- They're having 52 consumption. I've watched all that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, really, and thank you for what you do. It's
Thank
really- and especially.
Here,
I know you. I know you. Yeah. Still doing well. I knew you looked familiar. Well, thank you
Hi,
for
my
doing
name's
it.
Minna Dunmeyer. I'm a Moms in Action volunteer, and this is my co-volunteer and very good friend, Maxine Derkach. We're here local. We both live in Boynton Beach. We really want to thank the commission for giving us this proclamation, especially Commissioner Stokes, who reacted like this. And within hours, it was done. So thank you very much. When I started volunteering with Moms in Action, it is a grassroots organization of people, just like anyone, all over the nation, battling gun violence everywhere. We're survivors. We're victims of gunshots. We're people. Yes, we are moms, and it says moms in the name because you can't take anything else once you take my child.
Mm.
So it's very affecting. Years ago, there was a group that started, but recognized that motor vehicle accidents were killing their children. They started a whole group and and now gun violence is killing our children more than vehicular accidents. So here we are fighting this fight every day. In the days following Parkland, I joined Moms in Action. So it's been over 4 years. And when I started, it was 92 Americans were shot and killed every day. Now it's 110, which can be a little challenging to do this work when a lot of people just kind of wring their hands and shake their head and go, oh, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to live like this. In the wake of what happened in Buffalo and Milwaukee over the weekend, it's just awful, and it keeps happening. But it's happening daily too. 2/3 of gun deaths are by suicide, and that is the most lethal and most effective way to kill yourself, and what could be a really snap decision. And it doesn't have to be like this. So we're going to keep working. There are non-legislative solutions that local governments can do. There's a website that Moms Doing Act for Every Town for Gun Safety, our umbrella organization puts together called City Grip. And you can input the demographics of your city, and it will kick out strategies, non-legislative strategies that will help you solve. That helps lower gun violence. We'll never control it all the way, of course. Other things the city can do is every town offers a program called Be Safe, which is all about safe gun storage. Non-judgmental, very straightforward about locking up your guns, keeping it separate from the ammunition. Is that something that can go on the website? It can go on the newsletter. It can go anywhere, and it's going to save lives. Where Orange Weekend is coming up. It's the first weekend in June, as you said in the proclamation. We're having a huge event in Coleman Park. You can find lots of information at whereorange.org on the website, because we have lots of plans. Again, thank you to the city of Lake Worth Beach. I think we're up to 14 proclamations in the county
That's good.
this year, which is the most we've ever had. We're very close to the county. Very close. Whereas some cities are like, well, I don't know. I need more research. I need more statistics. And we're like, how many gun deaths is okay before you say it's an issue? So anyone can be a Moms in Action volunteer. We also have a students demand action group for people for students that are interested in this and well, and they use different techniques. But we can't fight it if we don't face it. And we get up every day and put these outrageous bright shirts on. Our other ones are red, and we march everywhere, and we knock doors, and we talk to people, and we're trying to save lives. So again, thank you. We'll be back next year, and enjoy your meeting.
Where and when is that demonstration?
It's a community peace walk, and like what we're going to do is we're going to gather in Coleman Park in West Palm
Where's
Beach.
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of Australian over by Tamarind.
Okay.
And then we're going to
Coleman, COLE.
Coleman.
Okay.
We're going to walk to a few sites where there has been a gun death and have like a talk to the survivors. It's going to be very, very impactful.
Mm.
And then everyone will go back to the park and focus on survivors, which is our most important voices in this movement. And also there's a strategy called community violence intervention, crime prevention through environmental design, CPTED. And a lot of letters. So we're gonna do something within the park to kind of bring back pride to the city, pride, because once people start to use pride, there's a less chance of violence. So that's what we're working on this year. Anyone is again welcome to be a Moms in Action volunteer. You have 15 minutes, you have 10 hours, I will take them. I have jobs for you to do. You just have to want to end gun violence that can affect us all. So,
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you for the work that you do. Good to see you again.
thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. You soon.
I think let's do the presentation. Then we'll do the proclamation from Public Works after that. So let's have a presentation by Maurice Maui Goodbeer. There he is. Is that him? Okay. And he's the founder of the nonprofit Streetwaves. And Vice Mayor McBoy has brought this forward, and I believe I spoke with him quite a number of months ago. It's good to see you.
Yes, I'm very good to see you as well.
Take care.
Some time ago.
Yeah.
Did someone play the video? Brought a video? Yeah, why don't you play that video? And Maui, can you raise the microphone up a little bit?
Yeah, speak straight into it.
That's good. Yeah. And while the video is coming up, I would just like to take there's something to work for it, but a little bit of a moment. We have a guest to listen to Maui's presentation, Rosemary Otto, right here in the front row, who she wouldn't let me bring her case of swim team medals, but people who've been around Lake Worth a long time know that she was quite the swimmer up at the pool at the beach. She's an artist. Her mother was an art teacher here, and when I mentioned that we were having a presentation, I said, would she be willing to come? And here she is.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I started Streetways this year. I've been getting a lot of first experiences. I got to help fix a boat, and I got to drive a boat. I got to go on water. I got to swim,
Yeah.
and meet a lot of new people.
I've been learning how to swim and stuff and stuff.
We're doing the team like we're all friends, and we all can communicate with each other. That's I like that a lot. The fact that we're all working on a boat together, it's really good.
My name is Maui Goodbeer, founder and executive director of Streetways. We've been around since 2008. We started off as a swimming and surfing organization, and we've just kind of grown. Over the past couple of years, we've gotten more into maritime career training, maritime opportunities, offshore fishing. And so we're here today at Morel Marine, where they have been super kind to donate some of their space for us to work on our boat. So for the last month and a half, 2 months, we've been in the boatyard working on the boat. And our boat is called Moby. Moby stands for Maritime Opportunities for Black Youth. It's our gift to them to give them an opportunity to explore the ocean, to learn about maritime careers, and understand the opportunities that take place in the blue economy. The kids learn so much during that process, how the engine works, how the fluids go through the engine. The engine is cooled by salt water and freshwater coolant. And we just learned a ton working in the boat every day for that period of time. Since that time, we have installed a tuna tower that will assist going offshore. We have a program that takes kids and cops offshore fishing through a partnership with FPO and United Way. And that's been going really great. I'm excited to invite law enforcement on board our vessel. Being in the yard, we've met some amazing boat painters, fiberglass workers, engine mechanics, and all of these various different careers that are extremely lucrative. And the blue economy worldwide is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. These children who live in coastal communities should know as much as possible. It really boils down to being exposed to it. And so that's our goal, is to expose the children to it. It's our motto that the water will do the work. And so we just give them water safely, and we let that relationship between themselves and the ocean develop on its own. It really all starts with swimming. I mean, swimming opens a world of opportunity like nothing else. And it's so simple. In a 9-week program, these children go from non-swimmers to good swimmers. They continue to swim, and they become great swimmers. We bus them to the ocean, we bus them to the pool, we bring them to the boatyard when we need to repair, bring them to our boat, and we get in the ocean. We stay wet and streamless for sure.
We're in my life now. But then I started off swimming. I didn't know how to swim before.
But now that I know how to swim, now I have lifeguard, and now I have the entire whole bunch of doors open for me. I'm so proud of that.
So after a social participant, and then I began helping out more, and then I became a lifeguard, and I was able to help teach at the camp and coach, and I got another certification. It's not gonna work anywhere as a lifeguard in Broward County.
It's really important for us to reach out to children from underserved communities, because oftentimes, for cultural reasons, for social reasons, they're missing out on something that we feel is their birthright, being born in this environment. If we look along the coast and other parts of the world, we see that the people that live in coastal communities are connected to the ocean. It's their life source, and it really is ours as well.
I want to get into marine biology and hopefully taking pictures of like creatures like deep in the water.
So we really want to focus on continuing for kids to learn to swim, growing our organization along the coast, so that kids are surfing along the coast that would normally be seen in the water. Kids are swimming along the coast that normally would have learned how to swim, which is such an important life skill. And being able to have them exposed to the ocean by boat. It's a life-changing experience, and
Thank you for watching the video. When I was first told about the Lake Worth Beach Pool, someone said, "Hey, now you've got to go up to the Lake Worth Beach Pool. They have a world-class facility." So the majority of our work is done at swimming pools in the ocean. And so I drove up one day, and I walked up the steps, and I looked over at the pool. It's sick. I got a knot in my stomach. And I just couldn't understand why this pool was empty. And then I dealt with that, and I left. And as I was driving home, as I entered onto the freeway, I looked over into a field of kids playing. And I thought, not one of these children is learning how to swim. And I know that these children are 5 times more likely to drown. And I know that in a coastal community, it's vital to know how to swim. Not only is it vital for the individual, but it's vital for the economic stature of the city, because we live in a coastal community. Tourism is our lifeblood all over every city in this community. And so the more swimmers that we have, the more lifeguards. The lifeguards walk in the room and they get a standing ovation, right? Why? Because they're excellent swimmers. What's important is that we find a way to honor what the founders of the city and those who created that swimming pool. And I was told that her husband was the mayor. And
Not Rosemary's, but Dorsey. I don't know if she's made it or not, but she was excited to come.
Yes.
Whether she's in her late 80s, so she may or may not. Oh, there she is.
There's Doris.
That doesn't happen very often, that somebody mentions your name and boom, and there you are.
You always knew how to make a good entrance, Doris.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, it was.
What,
Where's Chris?
is that a blue card?
Yeah, you can. That's good.
yes, the blue card.
Okay, for public comment, yeah. Unless you want to speak over.
Yes, for those who don't know some of the Lake Worth history, Doris's husband, Dennis Doris, is the person who got the pool that's up at the beach now built. And
And the high school pool is named after him.
I can remember when he was on, before he ran for commissioner, he worked on FORCE, FORCE, a committee to get the education of the people on bond issue.
Right.
Involved with other people too.
And Mr. Dorsey was on the commission when I was hired in 1993. He was one of the commissioners that interviewed me and hired me. He was quite a man, quite a man.
Well, they built a world-class facility. We very much value it. We love to see it.
Well, thank you so much for coming up and showing us that. I think we'll be, we should be in touch with each other. I think about how the city, what partnerships we can find or how we can help each
Sure,
other.
sure. Yes, and as a grant.
Great
writer,
program.
I know that there's millions and millions of dollars out there that we can access to contribute to help secure the pool.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
We're really happy to talk.
Millions in
I wanted you to know that a few students with me, I know we've quickly gone beyond our time, but I told these students that there's a swimming pool that needs us to come and speak out for it because it can't speak for itself. And they came with me today. And because they're great swimmers, I can probably attest that they're the only high school students in the right now. School.
I think a lot of us had the same reaction when we saw the pool.
Yes. Thank you so much.
It's a good.
Thank you, guys. Next, we have a proclamation declaring May 15th to 21st, 2022 as National Public Works Week. Brown? There he is. Whereas public works infrastructure, facilities, and service are of vital importance to the health, safety, and well-being of the people of this community. And whereas, with the support and understanding of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public work systems and services such as water, sewer, stormwater management, streets and highways, public buildings and grounds, parks, solid waste collection, and waste processing. And whereas the quality, safety, and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of public works personnel. Whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff public works departments is materially influenced by people's attitudes and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. And whereas American Public Works Association has selected Ready and Resilient as its theme for 2022's National Public Works Week. From disposing of solid waste to building roads and bridges or planning for and implementing mass transit, public works services determine a society's quality of life. Communities depend on public works, and the men and women of the profession are always there and always ready. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the Commission, do hereby proclaim May 15th to the 21st, 2022 as National Public Works Week. And I would like all of us to join hands and thank our Public Works Department because they're the face of the people of the city and they do an amazing job. Thank you so much.
I didn't want to mention something that just happened today that I was unaware of. But due to our ongoing outreach with our external professional organizations at both the local, the county, and the state level, successful labor bond program that we're doing right now, as well as just overall being able to do a lot more with less, I would say. Unbeknownst to me, my counterparts throughout the state.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
State of Florida Public Works Director of the Year.
Oh my gosh. Oh. We've got to proudly put that up.
But I do want to say, obviously, this is very cool because it was not expected.
That's
But
fabulous.
I did want to say, with our department, we have such a phenomenal staff, and it's not ever a one-person thing. We are a team, and they are so dedicated and work so hard on everything we do. And customer service is number one for us. So we're trying to be out there, trying to be face forward and addressing things as they come. So I'm hoping that we're succeeding And, you know, when people have issues, I'm hoping they are satisfied with results. And we're doing the best we can. So I just wanted to give a really huge thank you to all of my staff, because without them, absolutely can't do anything.
Well, I've been here a long, long time, and I know your department is one of the most responsive. If something comes up, we call Jamie, and Jamie takes care of it. And not just staff here, but the citizens know that they know that they can get in touch with you and that your folks will respond. And we really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Here you go.
Commissioner Maliga has her hand raised again, Mayor.
Fancy street sign.
I don't have a visual of city commission. It's just saying city commission on my Zoom, just so you know. Shayla.
Commissioner Maliga, I have to unplug it and plug it back in.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
And that's
much.
fabulous. We have to put that in a really outstanding place.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank
Scary one. Yeah, our camera.
Sure. Oh, sure. Madam Clerk, I have a question. I think I missed it with the reordering. The resolution regarding the Affordable Housing Initiative, is that on consent or is it on new business? Okay, I don't know that I have a comment on it. I mean, I don't know that I have it. Let me see. See?
Yes, it was added as item C under new business.
Okay, can I have yours? I don't have this. For the actual resolution?
Oh, no.
Yeah, we don't have the actual.
I'm sorry, you.
It's a ways to get there, so if we could get a copy of the printed resolution, that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Okay. So next we have commission liaison reports and comments. Commissioner Malega, why don't you report from wherever you are?
I am currently, no joke, in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. So if you lose me, you might want to send a rescue squad. I have a couple of things to report. I did attend the Raise meeting, their board meeting last week before I left town. Also had a meeting with Rollo Neighborhood Association where County Commissioner Greg Rice was in attendance to answer questions in regards to all the construction projects. I did visit with the Royal Poinciana Neighborhood Association. And the one experience I want to talk about quickly is I had the opportunity to see elections experience at the supervisor of elections and to watch the entire process from the ballots being created to mailed to when they come in, how they compare the signatures, and to any of the electeds and staff in our city. I would highly recommend it. It took about an hour and 20 minutes. Supervisor of Elections Wendy Link was very, very thorough in all her explanations, answered a lot of questions. And I run into a constituent who lived over around Lake Osborne, so that was fun. But that was a great experience, and I highly recommend all of our electeds to take it. It gives you a real thorough understanding of provisional ballots and, you know, when it goes to the provisional board, how they do their elections, counting towards the end. And a lot of the answers that we had were given to us were in regards to the new vote by mail rules and regulations, which we know have consistently changed in the last 12 months. So reach out to Wendy Link. She would be more than happy to sign you guys up for the next one. That's all I have. Love from Bermuda.
Well, get out of there. Commissioner McVoy.
I feel like I've been doing a zillion different things and I can't remember any of them. I'm going to give up my time.
Thank you.
Just like.
No, please. Commissioner
I feel
Stokes.
exactly the same way. It's been a busy 2 weeks. And the two things I just wanted to mention, I do remember where all of us were there when we raised the flag outside of City Hall for celebrate our Nation Flag Day. And then there's more this Saturday at the Osborne Center, I believe 4 p.m. until 10 p.m. maybe. So I look forward to that. It was really great seeing the spirit and the energy Everyone was in attendance. That was great. And then there was the tea party at the library that my kids, I brought my youngest to, and it's awesome to see what the library can do so much with so little. So I know it's a theme in our town that we don't have the same amount of resources as all of our neighbors, but the staff we have and the neighbors that we have give their all, and it's just great to see that. And we have a busy agenda packed house, so I don't think I need to speak anymore.
Commissioner Diaz.
Yeah, we packed schedule, so a lot of reading policy and reading things. I do want to highlight, we did, we all went to the Lake Worth High School graduation. That was a great experience. One thing that stands out from that, everyone was just so happy, so friendly, and the students were amazing. One thing that stood out was at one point the question was asked of who's the first in their family to get a high school diploma. Quantity of the amount of students that stood up for that really highlighted things that we need to work on in our community and improve for everyone, because so that we can all benefit. Other than that, to keep it short, TPA meeting this morning went really well. And there's a lot of things on the schedule and the works of improving roads and mobility. And I think, TPA and other agencies are kind of proud of it, because front and center was a rendering of some of the projects that are hopefully going to be, in the works in the next few years to improve our mobility.
Great. Thank you. The graduation was amazing. We have to that has to be a thing that this commission does and our city manager also joined us. It was after shaking 450 hands. It was quite the event, but it was great. I just have a couple of things. This coming Monday on the 23rd at 6 o'clock, we're having a special meeting, a workshop, I think it is, a workshop regarding vacation rentals and code enforcement. And I think the relationship between those two. You should get that out to folks that they know it's happening. That's right. And a little later on, we're going to have a resolution regarding affordable housing, but I want to read a letter that we just got off the presses from Congresswoman Frankel. And this is to Joan Oliva, who I think is on. Yes, she is. I hope you're feeling better. Dear Miss Oliva, this letter confirms that my office has selected your proposal for $2.5 million to provide affordable housing for submission to the House Committee on Appropriation for inclusion in the 2023 federal budget. Please know that this is just the start of the 2023 funding process. Before your project receives direct federal funding, it must be included in the final version of the funding bill that is passed by both the House and Senate and signed into law by the President. Be aware that passing a budget sometimes becomes challenging during an election year. I will keep in contact with you as this process plays out in the coming months so that you have a realistic view of what to expect. My office received many dozens of applications for just 15 total submissions allowed for each member of Congress per rules set by the House Committee on Appropriations. Our vetting process included feedback from respected stakeholders in our community. The proposals selected are sustainable and will meaningfully impact the lives of people across the legislative district we serve. And I just want to publicly thank Congresswoman Frankel. She is a fierce warrior for us, and to have her choose one of our projects to go forward. So the resolution, that was the add-on, and I apologize for adding something on, but in January, each one, not you, but each one of us, including Herman, signed a letter of support for this project. So I didn't think it was controversial to bring it at the last minute, and there's a time frame with it. So I just want to publicly thank Congresswoman Frankel, and keep up the good work, and we'll do our best to support what you do. Thank you. The other thing I just have is last week, 2 weeks ago, I was elected as a member of the board of the Palm Beach County, Florida League of Cities, Palm Beach County League of Cities, which is a sub of the Florida League of Cities. So I'll be proudly representing more luncheons. Essentially, it's more luncheons, which are not my favorite, but it's an honor, and I'm very happy to serve. It's a joy to serve. All right. Let's see. City Manager, do you have a report?
Just briefly, because I know we have so many important things to get to today, Madam Mayor. Just want to say, just want to note the reason why we're wearing green, because we're joining in raising awareness of Mental Health Month. As we know, millions of Americans face the reality of living with this illness. And so we want to join Healthier Lake Worth Beach, and they're raising awareness about mental health. And so I wanted to bring that out.
Thank you.
Yes.
And mental health is the underservice of mental health patients in this society is terrible.
That's right. And just a few announcements added to yours, Madam Mayor, that on Saturday, June 11th, we are having, the commission will be hosting interviews for advisory board members. So if you're interested in serving Lake Worth Beach and joining one of our advisory boards, please look at our website. You'll get all the information there, what boards will be open for your service, and all the information connected to that. So I wanted to make sure that the public is aware of that. And then on Thursday, June 16th, the mayor will have a State of the City address that will be held at the Beach Casino at 6 p.m. Thursday, June 16th.
Be gentle.
So a lot of good information, so please come out.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we have the city attorney's report, and this is kind of a big one today. Mr. Tresivia, we frightened him all. Yeah, he was helping Mr. Sanders out. Mr. Tresivia. He'll be back. There he is. Hello?
It's the score to the word it down. Fun thing to do.
Always a fun thing to do.
So good evening.
Speak really, a lot of people are listening, so please speak right into the microphone.
Okay.
Thank you.
So as you're aware, the Gulfstream project is moving forward, and you have the Quasi-Judicial Hearing coming up on June 7th. I sent you all a letter about that and the rules of the road when it comes to Quasi-Judicial, not making public statements about your position, because it's like a jury in a trial. You're supposed to hear the evidence and make a decision based on that evidence. You all requested a couple of staff to have an independent third party person selected to review this transaction, mostly financially, mostly land use, that's certainly part of it, mostly financially, represent you as a third party negotiator with the owners and representative Gulfstream. We have reached out to multiple attorneys, and we've had 5, one unfortunately can't make it tonight. So we have 4 attorneys who you'll have a chance to interview tonight. One is by Zoom, the other 3 are here in person. And of course, they all right to stay here, but professional courtesy, that's why I just escorted them out. They're all comfortably in the back office there, and I'll keep running and bringing them back and forth. So the first person we have is Robert Diffender there, although Robert is not able to be here tonight. But he has 2 partners here, Tara Dewey and Kathleen Washington. So if you ladies can hear me whenever you're ready, and what I told each one of them is do about a 5-minute presentation, telling you all about themselves. I know you have their resume, you have their website, talk to each one of you a little bit about them all. And then after that 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, however long it is, then you will ask them some questions and engage in a dialogue with them. The anticipation is after you finish with those 4 lawyers that you will decide which, if any of them, you're all comfortable with and want to be your knight in shining armor on this project.
Thank you.
Hello, can you all hear me? Sorry, I was just muted, but I'm unmuted. This is Tara Dewey with Lewis, Longman & Walker. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight via Zoom. I apologize we're not there in person. Mr. Diffenderfer was planning to, but he was reminded by his daughter that he had to attend a graduation dinner for her. She's graduating high school, so he is attending to that business as he should. But it is definitely our pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm going to be brief so you can ask me questions, but I do want to tell you first a little bit about the law firm of Lewis, Longman & Walker.
Can I interrupt you for just a second? Could you turn on your video?
Oh, I don't know that I have the option to do that.
Okay, thank you.
I would love to, and I'm happy to. Oh, here we go. I think. There you go. Hi.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. All right. Well, As I was saying, I'm first going to give you a little bit of information about my law firm, Lewis Longman and Walker. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the team that is anticipated to assist you if you select us. I will give you a little bit about what we would propose as our strategy based on the understanding we have of the services you need. And then obviously the most important part is to see if our skills and personalities and strategy match what you are looking for these services. So preliminarily, Lewis Longman and Walker, we have 4 offices across the state. We focus exclusively on land use, government, and environmental law. We represent local governments, we represent special districts, and we represent developers. So we have a broad view of the law as it applies to all of those individuals, which in this particular instance, I think would be quite an asset. As I mentioned, we have offices across the state, including Tallahassee, Jacksonville. West Palm Beach is the office where Catherine, Bob, and I practice. And as I mentioned, we represent across both sides of the aisle. Catherine and I, in particular, who would be assisting in this particular matter, are currently general counsel for the Boynton Beach CRA and have been representing the CRA for the past 9 years. We also represent a number of developers in prosecuting their applications. I am also a litigator. I litigate land use decisions, both for and against. And so that gives me an even finer tuned perspective on how the law applies and where you can fall into trouble in making decisions, which I think is certainly relevant to analyzing issues in a third party capacity. Catherine is, as I mentioned, my associate. I'll let her introduce herself just really briefly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine Rossmell, as Tara said. I'm another attorney at Lewis, Longman, and Walker, and also very happy to be here virtually with you tonight. Sorry that we're not in person. Sorry, this is my son, Ethan, who decided to come up and say hello for me. If you'll excuse me for just 1 second, I'll...
Well, what she did.
Duty calls.
So
we are a very family-friendly firm, which makes us one of the best places to work.
It does. It does. I am sorry about that. As you can see, good at working under duress. So in unusual circumstances, I've been working with Tara for the past 10 years on some of the clients that she mentioned, like the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. So we do have that perspective of working on incentive packages, both from the government side and from the land use side, as she said. I also have some experience representing utilities districts. And what we understand about this project is there's going to be some coordination with the CRA in the city and the utilities district. So that experience will probably help us navigate the various challenges that this one is going to present. I think Tara pretty well covered most of the highlights of our firm, but we're certainly available to answer any questions you have. And I know that Tara can tell you a little bit more about our specific approach to this one.
Yeah, so very quickly, and then we'll let you ask as many questions as you'd like. We understand we've been provided a copy of the draft development impact analysis for the Gulfstream Hotel project. And what we envision our strategy would be first, obviously a careful analysis of the development incentives which currently exist in the city code and other code provisions that are relevant so that we have a full understanding of the law as it applies to the situation. We would then want to closely coordinate, obviously, with your city attorney and your community sustainability director as to the current proposal by the developer and your responses as the city to that to date. And then finally, we would want to set individual meetings with the mayor and each of the commission members to receive your input prior to engaging the developer. So we have a full understanding of what the background of the project is and what direction we need to take and what the law applies to the situation. We would use all of that, obviously engage with the developer and present back to you in any form and in any way that you would deem appropriate. And we would expect that this would be iterative. So that's our strategy to date. But of course, if we get different direction from the city manager, city attorney, or the city commission, we will adjust our strategy as necessary. So with that, I think that is enough about us. What can we tell you that we haven't already told you or that you haven't learned from the package that we submitted?
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions? Any questions from anybody?
Give me a second.
What?
Give me a second. It's a lot of information to process. I feel like I have it's almost formed.
Well, let me jump off then.
Yeah.
My understanding is, and I know when Commissioner McBoy had brought it up, that the focus of the focus of the third party that we're going to engage is really focused on the financial aspects. Does it make sense to the city? Are we giving to, what incentives are we giving? What will the city get back? My understanding is that because they have gone through the HRPB, the process, it's not so much a land use question, but a financial question about what kind of deal is the city going to get? So that's my question to you guys in terms of the financial aspects of a private development engaged with public process.
Understood. And I think our experience with representing the CRA is really the best example we can give you of how we assist in that regard. Obviously, a number of projects that come in front of the CRA are for large scale, especially recently, they've been keeping us quite busy with this, large scale development projects where tax increment revenue and other financial incentives from the CRA are at issue and at play. So we work very closely with the CRA executive director and guiding the CRA on that. So I think we feel comfortable doing that. But again, you have a number of very qualified attorneys here tonight talking to you. So your choices will be who is the best fit for what it is that with services that you need. But we certainly feel confident in being able to assist you in that regard.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I do. I have a question.
Okay.
So,
Commissioner Stokes.
hi, Commissioner Stokes. The biggest thing that we want to make sure that we have to be careful about how we phrase everything, but we want a successful project. We want to look at it objectively and do our job and our due diligence. I understand, I think we all understand that if this project, financially, if it needs to go forward, it needs something from the city, that we want to do what we can to accommodate that. So the challenging part is, what are the tools for determining what the developer actually needs to go forward versus are they just asking for more than they need? And we need our tax dollars we have lots of projects we've mentioned several times tonight, how we do a lot with a little. So if we're willing to help this project financially because it is important to our town, we just want to make sure it's absolutely necessary. And so that's where I think we're looking for the expertise of that. I think that's the crux of what we need to figure out. Exactly what does this project need to become viable? Because I believe 2 or however many years that it just needed extra floors to make it viable. That was my impression when that ballot item went out to the voter. We just need some extra height so we can have some extra rooms and build this additional building, and then we'll be able to be viable. But now that doesn't seem the case. So that's really my main thing is just how do we determine that so that they're getting a fair deal, they're getting what they need, and we're getting what we need.
So what I would say to that is I'm not going to tell you can do something if the law or some pre-existing agreement says that you can't. So I'm very conservative in the advice I'm going to give you. And that comes from the fact that I have represented both sides of the aisle and I want to protect the decision that you make, whatever that may be, making sure that it complies with all of your code and all applicable law. So that's the baseline that we're going to start with. Then what I would say is, additionally, because I do represent a lot of developers, I know the questions to ask. I know how these projects move forward from a private development side. So I think we could ask the right questions to determine exactly where the right balance can be hit for the city and to make the project move forward, which I understand is the goal of the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
This is Commissioner McBoy.
Hello.
Hi. Good to meet you. Thank you for sharing what you have already. I would reiterate some that I think this whole commission is very eager to see this project move forward. But at least in my case, I've been on the dais in the past and we've undertaken some larger projects. And one learns from experience with that unexpected things come up, things that we might not think about, that somebody else with the kind of expertise and experience that you have on both sides of corporate and municipal may be able to find that we might not. And we're looking to make sure that the project goes forward quickly without bumps for the project. But also we feel, or at least I certainly do, speaking for myself, as Commissioner Stokes mentioned, we are a city that is not particularly wealthy, and we have many major demands on our finances at the moment. So we want to make sure that anything that we would be contributing is really fully needed. And I guess we see it, or I would say I see it as a negotiation that because the developer is coming in for certain things beyond what they have by right, they're asking for a plan you developed or as development of significance, some sustainability benefits. Those are all things that are being asked from the city. We want to make sure that we are asking from our side of what's needed. I might add slightly to the mayor's comment. While much of our focus is on the financial, I'm not sure that it's only on that. We would want you to also look carefully at the whole package and make sure that we're headed in the right direction, that we're not overlooking something that we should. It's sort of an outside due diligence kind of approach that I've been looking for. Does that seem like it fits somewhat with what you have in mind?
Yes, and I'll tell you, I should have mentioned this. I am actually the chair of the firm's land use practice group. So land use is my specialty in all way, shape, and form. So what I believe in that regard is that, yes, it's all about asking the right questions and asking for the right information and understanding the ramifications of that information and how you deal with it within the bounds of your discretion under the law and where that discretion does and does not exist. And as I said, I am a stickler for the law and the letter of the law because I think that's what I do as a lawyer. You all are the policymakers. I'm here to tell you where the boundaries are and where you can work the box. I define the box, you work within it. So I certainly we feel confident that we can provide those services to you. Again, you have many wonderful people here in front of you tonight, and it'll just be a matter of whether of what mix of services and experience are going to fit with what you are looking for. We believe we would be a great fit for that. So we would be happy to work with your city attorney, who we have great respect for, and help you come to determination on how to make this project move forward in the best interest of the city.
Thank you very much. Okay, no other questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So would you like us to step out of the meeting and leave the Zoom meeting and wait for Glenn to send us back? Is that what I understand?
Yeah, did you?
Yeah, I think you pretty much mostly answered a question with your last statement. And I think I already know the answer because of that. And just to clarify, I mean, you've represented developers, but you've also represented municipalities, of course. So I think it's safe to say you're very comfortable in government coordination and process. So you just want to make sure that we follow everything, cross our T's, dot our I's, do everything efficiently so that we can do this as quickly and effectively as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, ladies. Glenn, how do you want to handle that? We're deferring to our attorney tonight.
Sarah, we'll let you know when you're back on.
Okay, that's great. I'll look for your text. Thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity. We look forward to working with you in the future on this or something else, if not this. So thank you again.
Thank you very much.
This is Mr. Pruitt. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Pruitt. Oh, and speak as closely to the microphone as you possibly. Yeah. Okay.
I was trying to channel my rock star memory.
Have at it.
How they
Yeah.
get right down on it. Then I remembered COVID. So I didn't know. So anyway, I want to thank you all, Mayor and Commission, for the opportunity to be here this evening. For what I think is a very pivotal and important time right now for this city. I grew up here. I know you probably read the stuff, but to me, it's important to have that history. And I heard one of the proclamations tonight that talked about our history. I went to that beach because they really didn't want high school kids at Palm Beach. So we came to Lake Worth and fished on the pier. I dove, I snorkeled. I can remember what the lake used to look like.
Yeah.
And how pretty all of that was. And I can remember I didn't have to be that good a fisherman to catch fish. And now I need to be a little better than I used to be. But all of that is important. I remember shopping at fountains, Tubbins, which I still spend money at, the upper crust. And actually, my dad had an ownership in a restaurant on just down the street at the old theater. They turned it into a restaurant called Horsefelders.
I have been there.
And he had a part in that. And I loved it while it lasted.
It was fun.
They show the old movies and stuff like that. So anyway, my point is, I think it's important in this particular time to remember where we came from and what makes Lake Worth Beach special. My growing up, came back here, I always wanted to live in this area when I came back. And I fight a little bit when I hear people talk about how they want to make West Palm Beach, sorry about that. Yes, make West Palm Beach like another city. West Palm Beach needs to be West Palm Beach and work on what West Palm Beach. And I think that's what you guys want here in Lake Worth. Let Lake Worth Beach be Lake Worth Beach and build on the things that the strengths that this community has and that the people, why the people came here, why the people live here, why the people work here. Well, this hotel, I think, is a wonderful opportunity. I know there's been a lot of starts and stops. It's exciting to me to have the opportunity to maybe be a part of this. My wife and I love these old, reconditioned, restored hotels. We stayed at the La Concha in Key West. There's a place, the Artisan, in the Land. And one of my favorites is the Vinoy over at St. Pete. And it's a lot like this hotel. It went through a period where it was empty. So anyway, what I feel like is important in this particular instance, and the way it was described to me, is you need a negotiator. And that's what we've always done in my family. I know you saw where we've had 4 generations of attorneys, 7 lawyers in that 4 generations. I mean, even dinner time was in negotiation. So having grown up here, having worked here, having family here, I feel like I have the resources, connections, the network to help this city get the best deal they can on that particular project.
How do you see your role as a negotiator? But I mean, a lot of what we're looking for is, what the developer's asking for, what we have to offer, and the balance, and as Commissioner Stokes had said, what do they need versus what do they want? So is that the kind, your experience with that sort of negotiation is?
Absolutely. And what I see our role being, if we were selected, would be to meet with each of you privately. I know we can't meet as a group, that's not allowed, but to determine what is important to you and the goals. But through that network, I have a lot of friends that are on CRAs and other cities that have done these kind of things. And to me, it's important, and I've seen it myself, what happened in other cities, what they saw as issues that arose, what they would do different if they had it to do over again. And that way you keep from making the same mistake somebody else did. And I have people I can call to get that information, deal with them. Through my experience as a past chair of the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Alliance, Workforce, I have that opportunity to do that sort of thing. And to help you get to where you want to go without making that mistake that somebody else made.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Well, mine's the same basic question for everybody,
Sure.
but it sounds that we kind of maybe halfway answered it already, because our struggle is trying to figure out what the developers need so that they can have a successful project from the city. So
Yes.
what tools do you use to help determine what they actually need from us versus, is everything they're asking for us absolutely critical for that project to be successful? Like, how do we answer those kinds of questions?
Well, a lot of that is by research and knowing what other places have done. I've looked a little bit at this from the time that I heard that this opportunity was available. I looked at them, I read about them, looked at their website. Of course, there's a lot more you need to do. But, and I've looked at, of course, refreshed my recollection on the hotel and the land, the additional land they want to use. But you're absolutely right, Commissioner. This has to work for both of us because you don't want them to go out of business or go into bankruptcy. So you do have to get there. And I've worked on other deals that aren't going to be that different than this so that we can reach that balance point. And that's part of a negotiation is it needs to be fair in this situation. We want it fair to the city and the taxpayers, but we want it fair to them too, because they need to make a go of this and to keep it vibrant and economically enhancing to the neighborhood in the city. So we don't want to come in and try and crush it in the negotiation. And that isn't my style. I tell people that come to my office, if you're looking for that guy you've seen in movies on TV, that's not me. I do things a little differently. I want to be respectful. I want to be professional. But I do have resources to draw on. And again, I'm currently involved in a parcel. It's not as big as this, but today was on the phone. There's somebody developing a piece of property. It's an out parcel of my clients, and we're negotiating exactly the same stuff to try and make sure they get what they need, but to not hurt my clients' prospects for their problem. So I hope that answered your question a little bit. Doing this in a public setting, you don't want to say too
It's
much.
a little weird.
Well aware.
The hills might be much. And if I was them, I would.
Tell me all your secrets.
Proprietary information.
Exactly.
Any other questions? Nope. Thank you so much for coming down. We appreciate it. No matter what we decide, we thank you so much for coming in.
I feel the same way, no matter what you decide. I want this to work because I think this is going to be a wonderful thing for this area.
We're certainly hoping so. Thank you so much, Mr. Pruitt. We appreciate it.
Sure.
You just give them to me, Glenn.
I'll be back from Mr. Sanders.
Okay.
Helps me stretch.
It helps her stretch. A little exercise. Oh,
It's organized for you.
I have to do this now. Mr. Osterholt, you didn't tell me what you want to talk about. The
I was going to talk about Gulfstream.
okay.
The non-agenda item.
What you're doing right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh,
Good evening, Mr. Sanders. Good to see you.
thank you very much.
It's been about 20 years.
That's great. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's all yours. Take it away.
Well, I assume you've all read our bios. I have a lot of experience. In addition to being one of the key negotiators for City Place, one of the reasons Nancy Graham brought me out of retirement is because that 72, 75 acres was all in foreclosure. With it originally was 210 pieces of property. And when it went to foreclosure, it was about 65 pieces and owners all over the world, including Finland. Fortunately, I had a relationship with the bank in Finland, which worked out well. But my job was to bring all those pieces together, solve all the legal problems, and then figure out what to do with them. And I was the main negotiator with the final team. So I have a lot of experience, plus I have a lot of experience with hotels, because prior to that, I was president of a development company for 20 years. And we dealt large regional malls, office buildings, and hotels. So I have quite a bit of background.
Have you worked on the side of the municipalities, the government as well?
Yeah, the city. When I was an employee with the city for 5 years, I started out as in charge of development projects that wound up being the city manager.
You never know what's going to happen. When they catch you. You were involved with some other developments in downtown as well, I believe.
Yes, Phillips Point, we were the main, well, we owned it, developed it, leased it, managed it, and also the Esplanade in Palm Beach. In fact, when we moved here we moved our national office from Pennsylvania to Florida in 1980. But in 1974, I came down secretly buying a lot of land because if people knew who we were, the prices would skyrocket. By the time we moved here in 1980, we were the largest landowner in Palm Beach. And we also owned quite a bit of land in West Palm Beach, which is where we built Phillips Point. We did some other projects there also. So yes, we did a lot down there. And then I was very active in the community, as you may know.
Yeah.
I always enjoyed the company, the cities and the county have done so much for me and my partners in our company. I thought it was time to give back, which is why I went to work for the city to help them with their development.
One of the things one of the reasons we're bringing in a third party is to represent our needs, our interests in this development. So the
Yes.
Gulfstream Hotel and some, private development. One of the biggest and most important to hit our city in a long time. And we're looking for a person that can look at what does the developer has certain asks. The city has certain ability to give, but a limited ability to give. And what we need is someone that can negotiate on our behalf to not give the developer something they want rather than something that they need.
Right.
And do you feel like you have that background to that?
I know the feeling, having worked and negotiated for the city against the developers of City Place, which, by the way, City Place started out as a $500 million project. And they then added $250 million more. And now they're about to add another 200 million. So it's going to end up being $1 billion project. And when we started it, the properties were, like I said, literally owned all over the place, and there were huge legal problems. Without mentioning who, there was a key developer of the original. They had sold the land and the development rights to different people. And And you couldn't do that back in those days. So we had to resolve that problem. So well, we were very fortunate. We negotiated. As a matter of fact, we had used a lot of eminent domain, but we were under resolving everything except 3 domain cases, and we won all 3 of those.
I see you brought someone with you tonight.
Yes, Phil Hutchinson, who's also very experienced. and Phil will work with me. And Phil, do you want to say a few words, please?
Just very briefly. Again, my name is Phil Hutchinson. I've worked with Sanders over probably about 15 years. So after the city place work we did, my primary area of expertise is real estate litigation. One of the things that our firm and specifically Sanders brings to this particular project is the experience of dealing with difficult personalities, for lack of a better way of putting it. And having the litigation background of kind of seeing where the problems are coming. Generally, as a litigator, people don't want to see me because it usually means that a problem has already happened.
Right.
So, but the best thing is to deal with that problem before it comes up. So that's really what I'm bringing to this project with Mr. Sapp. But if there are any questions you have or whatnot, I'd be more than happy to answer.
You might find it interesting also that I've been with Greenberg Charter now for 22 years, but I'm one of the oldest connections because prior to that, that firm and the predecessor firms represented me in my businesses for 30 years.
Okay.
Including my first company that I took public when I was 28 years old. They represented me in that. So I had a long history with Greenberg Charter.
Oh, right.
In fact, the reason I went with them is to help me get some of my fees back. It didn't work.
At Greenberg, yeah, good luck. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, when I was city attorney for town attorney for Lake Park in 1999,
Yes.
we were working on a development for the marina, and Mr. Sanders was brought in, and I have to say that I did, so I'm disclosing that we've worked together before. And I will say that he was incredibly helpful and knowledgeable from both sides, having worked for developers and the city, and looking at your offer to work for us, to work with us in terms of your hourly rate is beyond gracious.
Thank you.
I have no other questions. Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you, sir.
Feel free to call me anytime you want. And be glad to answer anything you want.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really do.
Yeah.
It's great to give back to the community when they've been so good to us.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Grasso was coming up from Miami from the hearing. He's about 3 minutes away, he said.
Okay.
If you want to take a little restroom break or if you want to continue on. I'm just waiting for you to get here.
Well, then, do we have anybody else?
No.
That's the last one. Okay. 3 minutes?
Yeah, he texted, he said he's 3 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
By the time he parks and gets here.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
5 or 6 or
What do you
7.
want to do? Want to take a break?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break,
All right.
but not a long break because we have a lot of people in the audience saying we have a lot of blue cards and we have a lot of work to do.
Okay.
About 10 minutes, Madam Mayor.
10 minutes, let's say 10 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Need the, they usually. Oh, thank you.
I think so.
We order pizzas. All right. Nobody.
Where's your gavel? Where's your gavel?
I've never used, don't make me use this. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it is 7:52 and we are live.
All right, thank you very much. All right, we have one comment card regarding the attorney issue, so I'd like to have that done before we start a discussion so that Mr. Osterholt can have his say.
And we have one more interview.
I'd like to hear what the other guys have to say first.
My understanding is that was the end.
No, one more, Mr. Gulfstream.
Oh, you got here. Oh, thank you. I'm on
Right
it.
in the nick of time, as they say.
I know. Good morning, good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor, members of the commission. My name is Richard Grosso. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about this issue. I'm a local land use attorney. I've been practicing land use law in South Florida since the early 90s. And my practice has been decidedly public interest. I've been a law professor. I've been a litigating lawyer. I've been an advisory lawyer. I do a lot of policy work, do a lot of local government work where I'm representing clients and speaking to local government. I taught constitutional law. I taught land use law. I think I know how Florida government works, and I particularly have a feel for how local government works and local government comprehensive planning issues. And I think what I would bring to this project is a definite sense that any city commission has to make policy decisions. You have to make them based on your comprehensive plan, your strategic plan. You've got this set of values and objectives that you've already set in motion for years, and that those should guide all of your decisions. And that's why you are elected, because you can't monetize everything, you can't quantify everything. It's your job to sort through all of the environmental, the economic, the social, all those other issues and weigh and balance them and make the best decision. I have tended to be someone who's always looked at development proposals with a keen eye, with an attention to detail. The history of development in Florida is always, there's jobs, there's economic opportunity here, but yet on the other hand, we've got all these constraints about development that maybe we reflect in our comprehensive plans, be it sea level rise, be it sustainability, be it community character, whatever. And so I understand the balance that you've got, where you've got pieces of land that have already been developed, you've already got existing structures, and the impetus that we have in South Florida to want to see development go there and repurpose buildings. And on the other hand, I know that every development project has both positive and negative sides on the ledger. And I've spent a lot of time over the years looking at both of those, asking tough questions, and bringing a lot of scrutiny to development questions in terms of what's the positive side, what's the negative side. Let's look at everything. Let's look at everything long term. And the last thing that I think is important for any attorney who's going to do any work for a local government is you are the commissioners, and an attorney should not be the seventh or the ninth commissioner. Look at both sides objectively. Here's the pros, here's the cons, to avoid stepping into that policy making line. I think that's really important with any attorney whose job it is to keep you objective, both sides of the discussion, kind of pros and cons, objectively and unvarnished. And that's what I think I would bring to this project.
Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And one of the reasons that we're going through this process, when I speak with the commission, is one of the aspects besides the development itself is the financial aspects of this. We have a developer who's got asks, and we have a city who has something to give, but not a lot to give. So in terms of experience, have you worked with a project on the city side on the financial aspect of a project?
No, my expertise is not the financial side. If I were working on this for the city, I would certainly look to the city manager, the city manager's office, utilities people who know the numbers here. What I would do is ask them all the relevant questions to make sure that all costs, positive and negative, are taken into consideration short and long term, I would not be the person I think we would look to for the financials to do that analysis themselves. I would rely on the experts who could crunch those numbers.
You mean the staff here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions from anybody?
That's the biggie.
Yeah, that is the big. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Okay, now I would like to ask Mr. Osterhall to come on up.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Is this 2 or 3 minutes? This is 2 minutes.
This is usually 2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay.
So I'll go through it as quick as I can. And I'm actually here honestly to try to give you my opinion, some expertise that I actually have for practicing law for 42 years. Commissioner McVoy said the city has put out a lot of resources tonight. Public Works Director said we're doing a lot more with less. Mr. Stokes says the library does so much with less, or community does not as much as other communities. Commissioner Dita says the TPA mobility projects we need to move forward with them. All these are revenue issues that you want. If we really want to help the people, if we really want to help the citizens of Lake Worth, you need revenue. This is your biggest revenue driver. I've been told, because I haven't been in this community that long, but I was told 17 years ago when the publics wanted to build where they're at now, there was opposition to that.
Okay, actually, we're really limiting this to the attorney issue, not the larger issue, if you don't mind.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So Commissioner Stokes, I think you articulated it well, and so did you, Mayor. The problem is, these are all fine attorneys, I've heard, but I haven't heard one of them say they're going to be able to answer your questions. They're not getting the right person. So the first firm, young ladies, said, we have a lot of experience in land use and we'll make sure all the laws are followed. That's not what you're asking. The second attorney, I'm from Lake Worth and I used to swim on the Lake Worth Lake and I did all these things. And I can negotiate terms for you is what he said. The third attorney, his partner came up and said he's a litigator. And because of litigation, I can look at a lot of different things. You don't want to litigate anything. And the fourth attorney, another fine attorney, said, I'm not going to look at the financial parts. I'm going to have to look at the city and the city people to give me that. No, all four of these lawyers aren't going to give you what you need. So, I would suggest that there are other professionals out there. The problem is that's going to slow the whole project down.
Time's up.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, your time's up.
No, time's up.
Thank you very much.
You don't want to hear it.
Thank you.
Oh, no, we can
We have-
email us.
we have a limit.
We have.
Yeah.
We just email us.
Yeah, and actually the litigator was one of 2 people from the
What's the
firm.
specifics that you didn't?
Okay, thank you. So, let's begin. How do we do this? Glenn, would you guide us through this process a little bit?
Yeah, hopefully, panel for some difference in the table. My intention was to bring you 4 different lawyers, all of whom are experienced, but all of whom have something else to bring forward. I've spoken with each of them. We have our standard legal agreement that you've probably seen at some point in the past. So if you selected someone and wanted to move forward quickly, I'd say authorize entering into the contract, authorize the mayor to sign that contract. I've talked to Bruce in finance and I suggested put $35,000 aside. I don't think it'll cost that much, but my guess is it's going to be in the 20s, but better have a little cushion at whatever hourly rate the lawyer that you pick. And so if you agree with that and you pick John Jones and you say, okay, there's a standard agreement, enter into it. I'll put it on your next agenda so you can actually see it, but they can get started tomorrow. I know it's very important to get started right away. And I think it's just a matter of your discussion. 1 or 2, I think almost all of them said, a lot of good lawyers here. Who do you want to come with? Who did the 4 or 5 of you, which the league as well? Who resonated with you? Who did you get that sense that this is the person I want to be on our team? It's really the team, especially staff, us, our outside consultants. We're all on the same team, and this is just one more person that can be a lead player on that team. So really, the ball's in your court is who struck you.
Okay. Commissioner McFoy, you go first.
This is, I guess, a process question of, I think it was alluded to a little bit during some of the interviews and discussions. Some of it's a little awkward in a public meeting. And I'm wondering, it's pretty common practice for certain attorney-client things to happen in a shade meeting. Do we have the opportunity to meet individually with these folks that each of us could meet with them? Is that an option?
Right, you cannot make the shade meeting because there isn't any exemptions apply. You could have individual meetings. That is an option, but it would be cumbersome because now you're looking at coordinating 5 commissioners and 4 lawyers meetings. My guess is that would take a week or so, and then you come back from presumably and have this discussion again. The idea, I think, of having it once was that all of you had a chance to ask those questions and get that sense. But that is an option. It would slow things down.
Commissioner Diaz.
I think whether it slows it down or not, I think that is something to be concerned about. If we can be expeditious on this, if we can do Zoom meetings, make them quick, I think it's a worthy effort because, well, first, I want to extend the gratitude of the attorneys who applied and reached out because I think it's like, it reads like a who's who of some of the best attorneys in the county, honestly. And so I really appreciate them reaching out. And it's a lot of, I think each one of them can offer so much on their own capacity. And Mr. Pruitt, I think, he was very direct and he was very honest and said there's a lot of things that we can't say in the public setting or ask. We don't want to compromise the quasi-judicial process. We definitely don't want to do that. We want to do this as quickly as we can, as effectively as we can. And I think if we can, I feel like 30 minutes with each of them next week, and then I don't know what the process would be. I mean, I think that's a worthy attempt because this is a big decision. It's a lot of money that we're looking to invest in this project. We just want to protect all sides of it and make a good decision.
Commissioner Stokes.
Yes, this was very quick introduction to all 4 of the different firms. In my mind, the first and the third seem to have more experience with development incentive packages, so those stood out to me.
Sanders and Diffenderfer.
The
Greenberg and Lewis Longman Walker.
Yeah. But I would appreciate, I think we have a workshop a week from today. If we could do, like Commissioner Diaz said, maybe half an hour before that workshop, but that would give us time to try to ask any follow-up. I have more questions I probably want to ask about the CRA projects in Boynton because there's a lot of good and bad things happening in that area. So I would want to, those are the 2 that like I said, had more relevant experience in my mind, but I don't want to rush this decision right now. We have a lot of people waiting we have a lot of other business. I think we could, and to be very clear, we're not slowing it down. We have June 7th is when we are having our land use meeting. That's happening. Doesn't matter. This is ironing out the contract. So even whatever incentives we agree to, the fine print of how that's happening, the monitoring and all of that stuff. So I don't think waiting a week to officially vote on this is going to slow anything down.
Commissioner Malega, do you have any comments?
My frustration was a couple of weeks ago when we had this conversation about doing this third-party negotiation. And I said, how is this going to work? And we were told, well, I'll get a file ahead of time. We'll be able to do research. And I know that staff worked diligently to bring us some options. But now here we are again, kicking it down the road another week. So I just don't want to see this prolonged and prolonged and prolonged. I already have stated that I feel comfortable with our city attorney, our city mayor, and our city manager in this negotiations. I'm not one who's pushing for a third party to come in because I really don't think that, with all due respect, Glenn, that they're on our team. If we want a third party mediator, they're not supposed to be on anyone's team. It's supposed to be what's for the best of everybody. Meaning there are 42,000+ residents and the investors and ourselves and the taxpayers. So at this point, I'm just going to be a team player, and whatever the majority says, I'll roll with.
Thank you, thank you. Let me just say something to you. I would vote tonight. I believe that we have exempted, especially the two, the Diffenderfer and the Mr. Sanders. I've had the opportunity to work with both of them. They are about as good as you get with in terms of negotiations, understanding of private development and what the needs. There are people that have been doing it for 30, and the younger ladies are a little, well, she said 10 years, but Bob Diffenderfer has been doing it for 30 years. So again, I'm like Commissioner Legge, if you want to wait another week and have more discussions with them, but I'm perfectly willing to vote tonight, because you could not get better than either the Diffenderfer, the Lewis, Longman and Walker. Bob Sanders, I have the opportunity to work with. He is the most respected gentleman in Palm Beach County with regards to this kind of work. And he does have the financial background. I mean, we're not asking everything from this person. We're asking specifically, I believe it was to negotiate the terms of the contract. In terms of the land use and stuff, that's part of it. But one of the big questions that I hear from a lot of people that are hesitant about the project is, are we giving too much? Like you brought up, do they need it? Do they want it? What is the best thing? Either of those firms, Mr. Sanders could do this. This would be no challenge for him. This would be a challenge because it'd be interesting, and he wants to work here. He's willing, can I talk about his rate? His normal rate is $900 an hour. He's willing to come here for $390. That is an incredible gift, and I just have to say that right now, if I was going to, if my opinion is, I would hire Bob Sanders in a heartbeat. I think he's the most qualified. After that, I would go with the Bob Diffenderfer and the young ladies. I was a little annoyed that they weren't here. I mean, they should have been here to talk to us. They're a local firm, but they sounded very knowledgeable. And they're working with the CRAs. I mean, I don't know how many questions we can ask them that would actually hone down something that we would need to know about who we would hire. So I just want to get going, and I really think what else are we qualified to add that would help you understand or feel more comfortable about either one of any of them. So I see Carmen Davis's light is on.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make sure we're clear about the calendar, our meeting. So we do not have a workshop scheduled for next Thursday. We have Monday and Tuesday. I thought a week from today, I was just making sure we're clear. Right. We're on a Thursday.
You're right.
Yeah, so Monday and Tuesday, we do have workshops next week.
Thank you. Monday is and Tuesday is our first budget session.
That's right.
But that wouldn't give anybody enough time to interview these people. These are busy guys and ladies.
And both.
Commissioner McVoy? Yeah. Commissioner McVoy?
Yes. I appreciate your viewpoint on it, Madam Mayor, that we might not have any further questions that would be more enlightening if we had an opportunity to talk with them individually. I see it a little differently. I see this as this is, I think we talked about it during the interviews and other occasions. This is one of the biggest projects that is happening in Lakewood. And it does have significance to the city, and the city has a significant involvement with it. I think I would feel more comfortable with the opportunity to talk, half an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something of that sort with each one. I would feel more comfortable.
I narrowed it down to 2. I agree with the mayor. And if I had to rank them right now,
let's maybe that narrow it down.
And so I would only want 15 minutes with each, and my bad, it would be Tuesday, 4 days from now, half an hour, special meeting before our budget workshop. So if those 2 firms can squeeze 15 minutes in with whoever wants them between, Friday, Monday, and then we can do it Tuesday.
How does that sound to in terms of the Commissioner McVoy?
No, I was.
Make me gun shy. Light shy.
Madam Mayor, I have my hand up. I don't know if Ms. Shayla saw, but
there you go.
I'm in agreement with you and Commissioner Stokes on this. I just, my frustration is going to be, let's get to the point where we're going to hire somebody. And then once they come to us with what they think is the best offer, we can't go, thanks for your offer. And, but we don't think that that's the best that you could do. I don't want us to keep going back and forth because I did hear that the fiscal impact study that we all asked for was released and that the data that was in there was challenged. We cannot continue to keep hiring experts as a city commission and then saying, well, thanks for your opinion, but we think we know better. What is the point in hiring experts? So I'm going to follow your lead and I'm going to back Commissioner Stokes that I think that those two they were my top two choices. I'm ready to vote tonight though.
Yeah, I am as well, but apparently not everyone is. So Commissioner Diaz, what do you say about the two, narrowing it down to those two?
Again, narrowing it down to two is not making an individual choice. And I think as long as we commit to, making a decision ASAP, whether it's next Tuesday or whatnot, following a 15-minute conversation with, the candidates, I think that's pretty.
Two candidates, the two that we're talking about?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did I call on you? Did you speak?
Yes, I did.
It's a long night.
What my hearing is that I should go back and let Mr. Sanders and Lewis Longman know that we will set up
Phone interviews, whatever, yeah.
Individually with commissioners over the next 3 to 4 days.
Mhm.
Should I invite them back for a second public interview on?
I don't think so. No, I think it's just for our own.
Individually Tuesday, quick half-hour
And
meeting.
I will let the other two firms know that you
Thank them very
express
much.
appreciation.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
let me go do that.
Thank you. Now, the 24th,
Did you make an official motion that says, we're narrowed down to those two firms?
do you have a motion?
Motion to narrow down to those two firms.
Lewis Longman Walker and
Greenberg Trailer.
Greenberg.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Malega, did you vote? Seven.
I'll go let them know.
Thank you.
I said yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, our next meeting is actually a workshop. The budget workshop is Tuesday, the workshop on Monday is the other one. We don't actually have a meeting. We could maybe what we should do is, because we're all going to be together on Monday and Tuesday, have a quick special meeting before.
Yeah, like 4:30.
I mean, you want to make it Tuesday because today's Thursday.
Right.
So, do you think that's okay? Okay, so, city manager, can you just, do a quick special meeting before the workshop?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. At 4:30?
What time is our workshop?
5 o'clock.
What is it, 5?
4.
It's 4:30. And I was a city attorney for 8 years, and I had the opportunity to work with both of these firms and both of these people, and you can't get anything better than this.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Minutes. Public participation of non-agenda items. I have quite a few cards. I am going to start by, Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment cards for non-agenda items?
I do, Madam Mayor, and we also have someone on Zoom who would like to read his own comment.
Why don't we start with him?
Okay. Mr. Williams?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All righty, well, hi, and
What's that? Just put your name in, everybody put your name and address first.
Sure thing. My name is Aiden Williams, and I live at 529 South Conway.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks for allowing me to comment. So my wife and I, we bought our first home last year. We have 2 daughters. One is 2 and one is a newborn. And our property has a guest house that we use as a short-term rental. And I wanted to take this time to comment on how essential that supplemental income is that the short-term rental generates to my family, to my family's financial stability and livelihood. And when searching for a home in Lake Worth last year, We exclusively looked for a property with a guest house so that we could use it as a short-term rental. And without the income that our guest house generates, we simply couldn't afford to live in Lake Worth Beach. So that supplemental income also allows for my wife to stay at home and raise our 2 girls, which we are very proud of as well. My neighbors are fully aware that my guest house is a short-term rental, and they take no issue with it. It's because we live on the property. We are still their neighbors and members of the community. So I'd like to make it clear today in my comment that if there are any restrictions put in place against short-term rentals, my wife and I would be faced with a tough decision to potentially sell our home and leave Lake Worth Beach. So that's my comment. Thanks for allowing me to make it, and that is all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Williams. Is this 2 or 3 minutes? I always forget. 3. Okay, this is 3 minutes. And you're keeping time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And Madam Clerk, why don't you read the other comments that you have?
Okay. The first one I have is from John Jacobson at 819 North J Street. My comments today are in regards to the Lake Worth Road traffic circle at A Street and Lake Worth Road. I hope that before any changes are approved, the mayor and the commissioners will look at the history, design, and overall advantages of these traffic control devices. Traffic circles are not all bad. They help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. They are safer and they move traffic much more efficiently. The problem is often the public's unfamiliarity using them. The city should leave the circle as it is, and instead of a major construction project at that intersection, the city should focus instead on education and enforcement of the existing circle. It must also be mentioned that the circle, which I affectionately have come to call the Dub A Round N, has become a unique feature in this city. It's now part of the city and part of our history. I fear that any modification made to that circle now may be viewed by future generation as a mistake simply because we did not have the foresight in the present to see its future significance. Thank you. The second comment I have is from Marina Desidero at 231 Cornell Drive. In support of short-term rentals, STRs, and also support of common sense regulations as we acknowledge the benefits they offer, along with how they can negatively impact communities when there are bad hosts as well as too many on one street. The benefits that even those opposing must admit are that 1, they have beautified, abandoned, and unkept properties that lost their charm long ago. 2, attracted vacationers that may have never traveled to Lake Worth Beach if not for these platforms, and introduced them to our area, many of which return every year after falling in love and even have bought their own vacation and retirement homes. Exactly because they have great reviews, i.e. noted as superhost, as they are providing a unique travel experience, living in a lively and charming historic neighborhood in a pristine property. 3, one of the positive aspects that the pandemic changed for many is how they live and work in a country that was behind so many others, only offering a never 2-week vacation. And it was debatable if most would even take those days off consecutively. Now with the ability to work from home remotely, our tourism has increased, and for more than just the long weekend, they come for weeks on end and get to explore and love our area while also working. It is about time, if you ask me, that workers get to travel and explore their own country and the world more, and it is proven that they remain productive and even increase their outputs while also gaining experience and recharging their batteries with new environments. For Harvard, did I meet my 3 minutes? Sorry.
No, you still have a minute.
Okay, For Harvard Business Review conducted a study that shows how platforms such as Airbnb can play a major role in supporting local real estate markets and thus boosting local tax bases. Given these findings, it follows that restricting STRs can have a significant negative impact on local economic activity. Of course, that is not to suggest that unregulated growth is the answer. While higher property values can increase cities' tax revenues, which then can be reinvested into local communities, they can also lead to issues related to housing affordability, including pricing out existing residents or preventing new residents from entering these neighborhoods. But our research illustrates that with the right policy approach, STRs can be leveraged as a tool to encourage local real estate development and economic growth. As such, rather than enforcing blanket restrictions that hinder growth, we recommend creating targeted policies that meet local needs. For example, a study of real estate and activity in Chicago showed that encouraging STR development for properties in distressed neighborhoods and then turning those properties into Airbnb rentals.
Time's up.
I have one more.
Good.
Daniel L. Saeed, 230 Cornell Drive. We support STR as they benefit more than they hurt, although common sense regulations are needed for everything in a society. We respect our neighborhood. We want our neighborhood to remain a neighborhood, while we also take pride, as well as our neighbors have taken notice and appreciated the work we have put in to improve a property that was lifeless and neglected. In turn, we have a great guest quality as we attract people that are here to enjoy the environment, to experience a new area, and prior to platforms such as Airbnb would have never come to our little gem of a town and may have returned. Some have also invested because of their wonderful experience. It has been able to provide us with the ability to make it investment for a future and flexible income for our young family, while also expanding our neighborhood community. We are not simply investing in real estate and capitalizing on the market. We live in this area and love this area and want it to grow and prosper like anyone would, which is why we also understood the strong sentiments to maintain the charm. But we also acknowledge that there are many neglected properties, some even that are around for decades as long-term rentals, that are not taken care of by their property owners or providing sanitary establishments for living purposes, let alone vacationers. The reality is that STR is not a new concept at all, but it has been enabled and enhanced by internet platforms with quality control of hosts and properties from these platforms, as well as the cities they are in. STR short-term rentals are proven to be a vital part of the Lake Worth Beach economy. Studies have shown that over 30% of the local business revenue and restaurant sales come from tourists. Short-term rentals bring over $35 million per year to the local economy and increase our tax base. It seems counterproductive to promote and incentivize companies, i.e. out-of-town developers that have great intentions, while not also promoting locals that want to attract guests to our town that actually may become neighbors one day. At this time, we do not have any hotels, and even with one large, beautiful hotel on the horizon, there's more than enough interest and demand to come to Lake Worth Beach and to have a real feel of living in our town while living in a home with a kitchen and a yard. And a lot of the interest has been because of short-term rentals. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it.
Yes, that's all I have for that.
Thank you very much. I'm going to read into the record, Miss Otto, who was here earlier, who was the swimmer, asked me to read this. I didn't realize what a terrible need there is for a swimming pool, because the young people out there, what can be done about this? What I want to know, this problem is an eye opener about the lack of the city pool. So I'm just, as they came, Todd Velez. And this is public comment for non-agenda items.
Todd Velez, 530 North G. Royal Montana Park, condition. That's a relatively new park, not quite 2 years. It's being stripped. The top rails and the fencing is being rolled up and taken away, and park benches, and even the wheelchair access pavement table has been dismantled. So this looks like there needs to be a little extra eye on the area, or maybe some type of permitting to use the, what's drawing them there. It's not the children, it's the adults using the volleyball or the soccer ball field. So you'll see pictures soon. That's all within a week. I was impressed with the gentleman with Moby. Moby is a name and it means lift to venerate. And we can go into Herman Melville jokes, but someone you would venerate would be Mother Mary. You don't worship, you just acknowledge. Someone else that with the pool history is Dr. Helen Moore Gilmore. And when there were select people that could use the pool and others couldn't, she opened her home up to allow people to learn how to swim. And when the schools were integrated, her daughter was going to be beaten. And the daughter and the young lady said, no, not her. Her mother taught me how to swim. So that would be someone you lobby by, lived. And that's, you will meet her. She's about 92. And that's Dr. Helen Moore Gilmore. And so the condition of the park, which I'm sure you'll see pictures of, I'm sure Helen or Sarah will be looking for that. And yes, the pool needs to be functioning.
Thank you. Jonathan Cooper? Good evening. Just say your name and address.
Jonathan Cooper, 221 Ocean Breeze. And first of all, thank you all for being here tonight.
Is this regarding the name change?
This is regarding a non-agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'm actually here to talk about Monday's workshop on the short-term rental issue. And so I bought here about a year ago. And part of the reason I bought here was because the place I bought had a detached mother-in-law suite. And I saw Lake Worth had no law in the books. And I know there's a state law in place that allows short-term rentals to occur. And so, you know, I know that there's kind of some discussion about what they're going to be looking at. I can tell you that because I have the ability to do a short-term rental, have a vacation home, I can afford to live in a city like Lake Worth. It's expensive, right? The cost of housing is expensive. You guys are talking today about this opportunity with Congressman Frankel about putting in affordable workforce housing here. Creating an opportunity for people to be able to afford in Lake Worth is a great opportunity. Having a vacation home allows us an opportunity to do that. Since I purchased the home, I've invested thousands of dollars in the property. I live on the property. You know, my neighbors are okay with the fact that I have this. And I would hope you would consider this as you're making your decisions about what to do about the fiscal impact that's going to have for the people who call this place home. The people who come and visit the property or stay there use our shops. They go to our downtown. These are things we want to see. We want to support the businesses here, and I hope you consider that as well. Again, I hope you'll do an entire review of this to make sure we're making the decision on this and how it impacts the people of all the city hall. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Stima Fowler? Satima, I'm sorry. Sorry.
So my name is Satima Fowler. I live on 600 South Dixie Highway. So a couple of years ago, I moved in this area. I came here for vacation, and I love the area so much that I made the decision in my head that I want to make this my home. So I worked for several years to make that happen, and then finally last year of June, I made Florida my domicile. So part of it is I used to own an IT business in Rochester, New York. I sold that, and I decided to make a complete career change, and I got into the hospitality business. So I taught myself, you know, everything about customer service, marketing, and how to create a wow Ritz-Carlton-like experience. And then finally, recently I got together with a real estate agent here that specializes in short-term rentals. He helped me purchase a property. And since then, you know, I've renovated the property. Actually, it was a long-term rental place, and it was like, was leaking, and it was horrible. And one by one, I renovated it. And now my whole goal is to create and wow experience every time somebody comes in. And I just want to kind of say that before you guys, I mean, it's such a great industry. I can tell you, we have peer groups where we get together, and all of us that own short-term rentals, how can we create a better experience for our guests? And how can we give them 1 week or 2 weeks of happiness and joy? And that is my why I started the business, the hospitality business. It's not about the rental. It's about creating the happiness and joy for a week or 2 weeks that my guest stays with me. So I just hope on Monday, whatever things that you're discussing, please include us. We're open to discussing this with you so that it works for everybody. Just don't make anything where I'm not allowed to have my business anymore. And this is my livelihood at this point. So thank you.
Is 600 South Dixie your home or or do you live at the rental?
The property is at 128 North L.
North L?
North L.
So you live at Dixie and you place it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next is Michael Cuevas.
Hello, commissioners and mayor, commissioner. Michael Cuevas, I live at 600 South Dixie Highway in West Palm Beach as well.
Oh, is that South Dixie and West Palm Beach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just make a note of that.
I own properties here in downtown Lake Worth Beach at 102 South J, 104 South J, and 116 North Ocean Breeze.
102, 104 South J. And where else?
116 North Ocean Breeze. I bought my first property 5 years ago and have a lot of anxiety at this point based on the fact that I've invested tremendous amount of time, sweat equity into these properties. And I think I'm a very good neighbor, a good citizen, as most of my neighbors have commented on the improvements that I've made. The issue that I think I have, and I'm a real estate agent as well, been licensed real estate agent for 16 years. I own my own brokerage in downtown West Palm Beach. Is, when I bought my property 5 years ago, it was advertised as a short-term rental. It actually had already been operating as a short-term rental for a couple of years. The agent that was representing the seller had lived in Lake Worth Beach for 21 years. There was never any discussion about any restrictions of short-term rentals at that time. When I went and applied for my business license, just then and today, if you go onto the City of Lake Worth Beach's website and apply for business license, there's no mention whatsoever that there's any restrictions on short-term rentals. So here I have been operating this business for years, and all of a sudden, in the last few months, it seems like there's been a change. And I say that because 2 of my clients who have bought properties here have received business licenses that have a 60-day restriction. And I've never seen that before. Actually, 2 others have been denied rental licenses completely based on the fact they applied for a state license, which is required for any rental period of less than 6 months. Now, Lake Worth Beach's position apparently is that there's a 60-day rental restriction. There's been a prohibition for, I guess, before 2011.
Yep.
And if that's the case, why is it not on the city's website in black and white that says we have a rental restriction? Why also have my clients been denied rental licenses in entirety based on the fact they applied for their state licenses, which is required for 6 months or less? It doesn't make a lot of sense. I know a lot of these clients, as well as myself, this is their livelihood. They decided to buy properties here because of the opportunity that short-term rentals have provided. A lot of them do live on the properties. They are good citizens and they're improving the city. And there's just too much to talk about in 3 minutes, but whatever happens at Monday's workshop, I really feel like the citizens and the business owners need to be involved in that discussion to help direct this conversation. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, that 60-day restriction has been on forever. And it's black and white in the ordinances.
We've asked for it for the last 2 years and have never been given it.
Oh,
You can provide that.
I emailed you earlier. I will send it to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, that's Sarah and Marcel Martin. It's a team.
It's a team, guys.
I
Support.
Sarah and Marcella Martin, we live at 1121 North Lakeside Drive. We are residents here of Lake Worth since 2007. We've raised both of our daughters here and want to thank you all for serving and welcome as the new city manager. We're happy to serve the city as well as your vice chair of education and also on the tourism task force. With that being said, through the proclamations that you just spoke about, we heard you say that our beaches bring millions to the beach, that we have a very beautiful tourist destination, and at the same time, we are in an accommodations deficit in our city. With that being said, right now, in our state, the economic impact of a visitor coming to our state, it ranges anywhere from $300 to $1,000 per day. And with that economic impact hits our downtown as well. You can pull a public records request right now and find that we generate over $800,000 in one of our worst years of tourism tax dollars that come from bed tax dollars coming from vacation rentals. So with that being said, there's no voice at the county level that will engage with them, to lobby them, to bring those dollars down here. We do that through the Sports Commission, Film Commission, Cultural Council, etc. I implore the city to not punish the people that restored and loved our beautiful cottages and invest in our community and grow our tax base. I would wish that we could investigate a collaborative tourism effort in which we can bring to life some of our initiatives that have hit a wall, including our tourism task force report, which we know can't be funded. So there might be some interesting engagements that we could look at there. Or our plan of engagement with the Cultural Council is actually sat on a shelf for years because of no activation. So those are things that I think in a collaborative atmosphere and a tourism focused
environment,
thank you. I feel like we could really make a much larger impact and be a bigger player on the state and county level. I do have a background in destination marketing. I've marketed entire cities and find that vacation rentals in this era provide a very, very good opportunity for people that are have immunity issues and things like that. So COVID is a big piece. Also, lastly, we have actually hosted quite a few families that are here for one of the local children's hospitals that do major surgeries where they have to be here for a long period of time. Hotels are not an option for them, and they need long-term stays here locally. We've also worked with the big baseball stadium, bringing in for season. I forget, I don't speak sports, sorry.
It's a foreign language.
But there's a lot of collaboration and asset that happens right here, whether it's equestrian sports, beaches, etc. And Lake Worth Beach offers that right now. So I just hope you don't make any major regulations that aren't applicable to historic cottages.
Thank you. Anthony Segridge.
Anthony Segridge, 601 South Conway. I wanted to start off by saying thank you to all of you for the time that you've been willing to spend with us over the last couple of weeks. Personal property rights are the cornerstone of the bundle of rights, so universal that they're often called common law. The right to let or lease one's property is one such right, whether you choose to lease that property for 1 year, 2 years, or 2 days. The state of Florida codified this in the creation of FS 50932. Florida courts have defended this right, stating that any prohibition or limitation on these rights must be specific and clearly written with any ambiguity or interpretation to be made in favor of the property owner. Once again, we find ourselves in an awkward crossroads where Midwater city staff is taking action to limit these rights. About 1.5 years ago, city staff went down this path and were directed to cease all action against short-term rentals until the matter could be workshopped. The workshop presentation only included the opinion and recommendation of city staff, the anti-short-term rental side of it. There was zero data or backup presented. The commission and public demanded better. Staff was instructed to redo the workshop and include the data, all interested parties, and research. This never happened. Fast forward today, and we see the city staff back at it. Rental licenses are being denied based on owners having a vacation rental license with the DPPR. Staff is ignoring sections of the code, such as the 30-day rental exception for residences under 4 units. New rental licenses are being printed with 60-day limits and ignoring that 30-day exception. The exact same workshop to the letter. If you look at the backup from the last workshop to this workshop, there is nothing new being presented. No new research, no new data, no backup. And all this, and still not one ounce of data or research coming from city staff. It's rather disappointing. I would ask this commission to ask themselves, what good is a workshop that does not include a single shred of data about the topic? What good is a workshop that only presents an anti-short-term rental bias without even considering the positive impact of short-term rentals on Lake Worth Beach? In the past, we, the short-term rental community, have presented staff with data, case law, and case studies to support our opinions. We offered common sense regulations that would lead for the city to consider. Short-term rental owners and our neighbors work together to put these regulations and send them to staff. Staff brushed us aside. Staff provided zero data or research to refute our position. Staff even smugly told us that if we did not like it, we should sue the city. Imagine that. Imagine the ego of that statement. Sue the city if we don't like it. Well, we're here today and tonight to let the city know we don't like it, and we're not going to take it sitting down.
Thank you. Time's up. Helen Betances. Helen? Yeah. I hope I said that right.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, my name is Helen Betances. I live at 76 18th Avenue South. Thank you for hosting this meeting and allowing us to speak on this agenda that's so important to most of us here tonight. I'm a retired teacher, disabled for almost 5 years now. And I sold my home in West Boynton Beach. I started hosting 3 years ago, actually, when I found myself at a crossroads, being divorced, having a big house, and an empty nest all at the same time. I thought short-term rental was legal within my association, and then things changed. As an HOA, I don't have much of a say. I can't change things. So I started looking at where do I want to be in retirement. And Lake Worth Beach was the first beach I set foot on when I visited my sister 30 years ago in South Florida when I lived in New York. And I said, you know, it's the only thing I could afford right now after I sell my house and pay off my mortgage. So I moved to Lake Worth Beach. And I knew I was going to continue hosting because what started out as me hosting to be able to afford where I was living became a passion. You know, being disabled, you don't have a lot of choices of what you choose to do as a job, you know, and hosting has given me the opportunity to be able to host when I feel well, and it's giving me a purpose. And banning short-term rentals would basically be taking away my livelihood, and I would not be able to survive as a homeowner. It was always my dream to be able to live close enough to the beach that I could actually ride my bike there, which I've done many times since I lived here in August, since I moved here. I live on my property, and that is one of the biggest demographics of Airbnb hosts across the world, globally. The other large percentage of homeowners are homeowners that came here and fell in love with Lake Worth Beach and made a vacation home for their family. They love everything of what our beautiful city has to offer, and I would like this city commission to consider what the majority of Airbnb hosts are, which are not big-time investors, but just your average homeowner, just like yourselves, that not only love Lake Worth Beach and their community, but we also contribute in so many ways to improve our communities in more ways than you can imagine. We host many things to bring more tourism to our community, but I also want you to know that we are selective in the guests that we choose to allow into our homes because we care about our homes, our neighbors, and our beautiful city. Our goal is to make Lake Worth Beach the best city it can possibly be. And it is my wish that the city commission will work with us, all the hosts that live in our community, and consider what is at stake here. Thank you for your time. And like I said, you know, Anthony mentioned, it'd be a blessing for you to include us as part of your decision-making in that workshop. It would mean so much to us. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Todd Townsend.
Great, good to see everybody. Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. I want to talk about the L&M project. First of all, the L&M project destroys the current parking continuity that we have in our downtown. And it's going to cause us to have to build a parking tower instead of like gun club. It's also going to take the fun out of the downtown by having bedrooms overlook the downtown in the square. Canyon in the downtown is going to be echoing the sound back and forth to the Sun building. It's not going to be two tall buildings, such as the building that we're going in the corner, and the parking tower is going to be like selling our sky. Let's not sell our sky. We want to keep our downtown sky area. So let's talk about the church or event parking. That's going to be a lonely parking lot out there in the middle of the night for people that I care about, that make people dressed up to walk out there. You know, go downtown, have your friends hang out, and then walk out to that lonely parking lot. No, I don't like it, and I wouldn't send any one of you out there. And in fact, you know, is there even a plan with the church as far as how this system is going to work out? I mean, you know, they come out at our town is based on, you know, the bars and people watching NFL and the NBA, and they come out there early Sunday morning. And the church is going to be letting out Sunday morning. It's going to be a big problem. We're making a problem. Let's not turn ourselves into a corner. Secondly, think about it with the heat and the sun and the distance walking to these ulterior parking areas. People that are all dressed up are going to be like not having a good time. And frankly, the bottom line is that the same problem that we are developing here is what's already going on in the casino. Why did the casino building work? Because it's a long way to walk up there. By the time you get up there, you sweat it out, and no good. So, and lastly, you'll be displacing those poor homeless people that eat and shower right there in that parking lot. So that's it. Oh, and then also think about the crime. Think about the crime of opportunity that's going to happen to people walking out there. So that's all I want to say. Thank you very much. Everybody's doing a great job. And out we go, pow.
Thank you very much. Jane Reagan. Good evening.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Name and address.
My name is Shane Regan. I live at 535 South Conway. I'm a business owner in the city. I have multiple businesses. One of the businesses is also a short-term rental. As a person in my family has owned a restaurant on Lake Worth, on Lake Ave for many years. I can assure you that at least 30% of the income came from people that were staying in short-term rentals. And several years ago, when the commission was analyzing the pros and cons of short-term rentals, we reached out to every business owner on Lake and Wilson Avenue. And every one of them was, with the exception of 2 people on both streets, was very pro short-term rentals and was very surprised and annoyed that a city that is considered a tourism location would not want to have anywhere for tourists to stay. I mean, it's no use having a beach if we don't have it for tourists or people to come and stay downtown. The last city commission time when they had workshop, it was promised to us that we would have a moment that the research would be done from all the commissioners, that we would look into before the next time that they met, that they would analyze the pros and cons and look at all the different possibilities of what short-term rentals bring to the city of Lakewood. And this, from what we understand, is not being done. Tomorrow, on Monday, we're meeting again with exactly the same agenda, which is a negative feedback from the city staff.
Have we always followed the city staff?
Sorry?
Have we always followed city staff? I don't know.
Well, you know, as of the last, obviously the city staff are not listening to what the commissioners say. I mean, if you guys get together and agree that you're not going to harass the short-term rental until a decision is made through a workshop, and then you start taking away people's licenses, yes, it needs the city staff are not listening to any indication that you guys have, which makes you guys look ridiculous. I mean, you know, if your city staff don't stand up or don't acknowledge what you put in place here, then what's the point of you guys being here? Thank you.
Thank you. Casey Taylor.
She had to leave.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. She didn't write me. Yeah. She wanted to make a comment on short-term rentals, and don't know whether she's for them or against them. Charlie O'Sullivan. Charlie O'Sullivan. He's for short-term rentals, 717 North M Street, it looks like. I would like to make public comment on a non-agenda item. My job and economies tied to short-term rentals. The benefits I would, hard to read, but apparently he's in favor of short-term rentals. And Casey Taylor. Casey Taylor, is he's the one that left? Oh, wait. Okay, I apologize for not speaking in person. My baby could not make the late night. I am writing to share my support of short-term rentals in Lake Worth. When I moved here 5 years ago, I stayed in an Airbnb and fell in love with the city. Fast forward to today as a new mother, I still love where I live, but I also want my daughter to grow up knowing her family on the other side of the country. Airbnb has allowed me to rent my home and afford the expensive trips. If I couldn't Airbnb while away, my daughter would grow up not knowing her cousins, aunts, and grandparents. It is my fear that the upcoming workshop will introduce restrictions that will force me to choose between the home I love and the family my daughter deserves to know. Thank you. And the last of the non-agenda items is Thomas Law.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. I moved into town about 14 months ago.
Did you say your name and address?
Thomas Lemire, 260 Emerald Drive.
Thank you.
I moved into town about 14 months ago, coming straight out of bottom Afghanistan. I came from New Jersey and moved into town because I just needed to get the hell out of upstate, Jersey. And some of us heard all the stories today about how folks came in and they renovated their house for short-term rentals. I'm also for short-term rentals. I did the same thing with my house. I have a guest house. I can show you the bills. I put upwards of over 50 grand in my backyard in my house to make it what it is right now. It's amazing. People come in and they love it. And you heard again all the stories about the income that people bring into the town. They're not going to Delray, they're not going to West Palm, they're going to Igots and dumping money in there, good for them. And this town, So not only that, because I'm in the Air Force, I've been able to reach out to the military community and then bring them into town as well. They come to the guest house, they stay with me, get their own Airbnb, buy their own houses. The supplemental income on top of a government salary is definitely needed. I don't know if you guys can relate to that or not, but I definitely need it as well. I'm also here on behalf of the people of the town that work in all of these Airbnbs and short-term rentals. You have cleaners, plumbers, contractors, and we all talk to each other. They all run the same houses. So that's a ton of income for them, and taking away any of the short-term rentals would be detrimental to most of the people, a lot of people in this town. We're not trying to go anywhere else to get help. It's right in this town. I have my neighbor, awesome dude, Chris. He mentioned his guy, Phil. He's my plumber. Maria, me and Anthony share the same cleaner. Maria, she comes to my house too. So we all talk and we all get the same people. Hey, who's good? Who's good? All these people are good and they're in town. I'm also in a nonprofit for first responders in the area called Healthy Hire, Healthy Retire. Those folks as well come to my house for a way less rate than any hotel or anything like that. And it gives them a little peace for, like they said, a week or so of comfort and just relaxing. Last thing is, I'm not sure, but last time I checked, isn't this America? Like, why can't we, as entrepreneurs, basically that's what we are, take it upon ourselves to try to supplement more income for especially now, the inflated rates of everything, from gas to eggs to housing to everything. So this is the greatest country in the world, and I mean, short-term rentals is part of it. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
Well, first, I want to thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And also, I want to ask you, is your short-term rental part of your home or a separate little building on your property?
It's all attached, but I have it private, separate.
Just curious.
No problem.
Thank you so much. That is the last, I believe, of the short-term rental, non-agenda item things. I'm gonna, take it upon myself to ask, we do have a workshop coming up on Monday. One thing that would be helpful for us, if we could have a short statement from our attorney about, because I know we're very restricted. And I just want to say, for myself, and I can't speak for the other commissioners, but nothing in my brain is thinking about a ban on short-term rentals. Okay, let's get that. So I have an apartment that I've used as a short-term rental. I understand them. No, we're done. We're done. You're done. But I've been around too long. But I would ask you, we don't know, we would like some clarification on what, if any, ability we have to make any restrictions. Okay, so it's not all gloom and doom. Thank you, everyone, for your comments.
Okay.
Yep.
May I make a comment regarding the short-term rental issue?
Sure, thank you.
I just wanted to say, I know there were comments made that the staff has repeated the same information to the commission for consideration or discussion for the Monday workshop. And I do want to say and make sure we're clear that the staff is, as you mentioned, our minds are open, and we are interested in coming to some way in which we want to make everyone, make this a fair issue, a well-researched and thought out issue. And so I just wanted to make it clear that staff is following the directive of the commission to bring information for your consideration to understand what the current regulations are concerning short-term rentals that are already being either happening in the city or have been thought about in the past. And so the issue of repeating information is only because this is information that has already been gathered by staff. And we do have a new commission, and you have directed us to bring information concerning it, but that information has already been generated. So we're just bringing back that same
fresh set of eyes on
for a new commission. So you will be updated as to the position of the city, where we stand, and then where we need to go. And so we're seeking your direction in that matter.
Okay, great.
If I can just add, that particular memo was drafted for all the options.
Speaking of Mike, Aaron.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That memo was drafted.
That's not working.
Okay, I'll just speak louder.
And we need you on the record.
Yes.
Okay.
Come to me.
I just want to say that memo, that particular memo includes all of the options, the regulatory options allowed at the state level, and that other local governments have considered or done. So the state limits how these uses can be regulated at the local level. So that memo includes examples of how those uses are regulated in the state and the current rules regarding those uses.
So it's really just factual information. The staff is not taking a policy
correct
position on it.
It's giving information to seek your direction.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Lloyd?
I just want to say that it's frustrating for us to have workshops and lots of time and meetings. So my bar for looking at the backup will be, and I've already put in information requests for various things a while ago. What is our legal, what do we tell people? Because different people are hearing different things. I'm not happy with that. I want to see a lot of clarity and a lot of information. I want to see data on how many are in the town. What are the concerns? What are available good regulations that might be used to improve? There clearly are strong views in this community, both for and against. And I think there are very reasonable concerns, both for and against. I want to see a very robust set of information if I'm going to spend my time in a workshop. So I don't want to see the same stuff that a previous commission. So I want to see better backup for it. So that's my position.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Just now approving the minutes.
9 o'clock.
Motion to approve.
No, the second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's Jen. Do I have a motion? Oh, thank you. Unanimous. You still with us, Commissioner Malega?
I am, I'm here.
The Bermuda Triangle hasn't gotten you yet. Okay, next we need to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Public hearings ordinance.
We have to vote. I.
Picky.
I'm.
All in favor? Thank you.
I.
Aye.
Thank you. Public hearings, ordinance, let me just get to this.
Just the public
Yeah, I know.
neighborhood.
I know, you know, I just want to get to.
I know. Yeah, no,
I got it. Okay, ordinance 2022-6, first reading. Consideration of an ordinance amending chapter 23 land development regulations, bringing in neighborhood meetings and outreach. And we have the city attorney to read the ordinance.
Madam Mayor, ordinance number 2023-06 is an ordinance of the city commission of the city of Lakewood, Florida, amending chapter 23 land development regulations, Article 2, administration division to proceed with the new section 2322-20 public neighborhood meeting, providing for public neighborhood meeting held by the applicant development website building office consultation on the effective date.
Meeting this 2020. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Malega?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ordinance 2022-10, second reading. Notice requirements for rental increase and termination of monthly non-residential tenancies without a specific duration.
We usually ask the question, has anything?
They will let us know. I swear to God, they will let us know. Has anything changed? Thank you. That's kind of how we do that, yeah.
Ordinance 2022-10, ordinance of the city of Lakewood, Florida, amending chapter 20 civil rights, article 4 landlord tenant requirements by adopting section 20-22 termination of monthly non-residential tenancy without specific duration. Section 20-23 written notification requirement related to rental project payments for all non-residential tenancies to require 60 days written notice of termination tenancy and increasing rental rate for building council application and the effective date.
Thank you. Well done. Have there been any changes?
I believe so.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Resolution 23-22, change the name of Ocean Breeze. I'm sorry?
I read this and I said 60 days.
Wait a minute.
But we did the 180 days. It's 180 days.
That's right. So we did.
That wasn't changed, but on the title, it's still somehow 60 days.
Okay, but we did it.
Changed it to 180.
Okay, but we did in the body, it says 180 days. Okay. So the title doesn't matter. As we all know, the title's not relevant.
We'll make sure the title is correct.
We'll correct it, yeah. Okay, so this is resolution 23-2022, changing the name of Ocean Breeze to South Ocean Breeze. It would officially change the name to South Ocean Breeze from Lake Avenue to Fifth Avenue South. I have quite a few comment cards. Do we want to hear comment cards before we discuss this, or do we want to start? How do you want to do it? I see Mr. Diaz shaking.
We could start with the comments. I don't mind that.
Well, read the comments first. Okay.
I would say, yeah.
Okay, there's quite a few.
They've been waiting patiently.
They have been waiting very patiently.
Quite a few people had to leave as well.
Yeah. First up, Laurel Robinson.
She'll be right back.
Oh, second up, Marshall Pass.
Laurel, yeah.
All right, let's start with Laurel.
She's good. I apologize, Laurel.
Of course, the minute you walk out is when we call your name.
And I have to get the combination for the restroom. For my colleague.
Who would that be?
I think an encouraging comment, and that is don't block the restroom.
I'm surprised it still was. We talked about that. Thank you. You guys are doing it. Yeah, it's not supposed to be that way tonight.
My name is Laurel Robinson. I live at 114 Ocean Breeze. I'm opposed to changing the name to Ocean Breeze, but I'm also concerned as to the why, and more particularly the how, the commission has chosen to move this issue off their plate at this time. The street name was changed in 2009 with little objection until about a year or so after North O Street changed their name to North Ocean Breeze in 2019. The current groundswell complaints regarding misdeliveries correspond to the progression of COVID. People are using home deliveries to an unprecedented extent, and the people who made the deliveries, by and large, new to the job and lacked experience. Statistics will tell us that we should have expected more mix-ups with more deliveries, and that's probably what happened. We can also expect that as things steady down, the number of missed deliveries will return to pre-pandemic levels. Note, it'll never be zero. It will never be zero as long as we have the north-south dichotomy in the naming conventions in the city. If you live on it, North A, South A, North O, South O, people will tell you even today, it's just the way it is. You're going to get a little bit of mix up, and it's never going to go down to zero just because that's the way we get a major street. That's the why. As to the how, the disgruntled persons sought to redress a grievance without ever reaching out to their neighbors and employees. I believe it's quite possible to work together to solve their problem. Documents confirm that some commissioners and city staff, city manager were amenable to a mutual discussion, but that never happened. Even after a proposed agenda item on the issue was postponed, it seems that no one gave a thought or made an outreach to people who make Ocean Breeze their home. We never even received a courtesy notice to the in the mail. Now I know it's not a legal requirement, but a courtesy notice that we received about the Gulfstream Hotel came by the USPS with a stamp, and it had our address label on it. The city staff who were directed to pass out flyers on May 11th hardly feels this bill. In short, I feel that we've been disrespected, kind of ignored, and shut out of an opportunity to create a solution to the delivery issues that will preserve our unique enclave and calm the annoyance of those insisting that we suffer the loss of our identity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Marshall, Pattis?
Mark Pass, 450 Ocean Beach. I speak to you tonight as the president of Bryant Park Neighborhood Association and a Lake Worth Beach resident who lives on Ocean Breeze. By the way, one of the only 22 duplicate number addresses. The Neighborhood Association wishes to inform the commission that we strongly disagree with changing the name of Ocean Breeze. We also acknowledge the situations that can occur with duplicate house numbers on North Ocean Breeze, but are very disappointed that no one, not our neighbors, not any neighborhood association, no city staff, and no commissioners ever contacted the people who live on Ocean Breeze or the Bryant Park Neighborhood Association to determine our position on the matter. One and only one solution was chosen by the city to fix this problem without any input from us. It appears that one rather small group of people has imposed its will on another without any thought of fair play by the people elected by all of us to represent the entire population. We know that you have already written the ordinance, prepared for submissions in the Winnie Code, and assure the North Ocean Breeze Street folks that you will do what they ask. But why did you not arrange for the community input from everyone involved? There are alternatives that could be discussed in the venue that would allow creative thought with input from city staff to pursue compromise on both sides. We ask that you at least give us the respect we deserve to work something out that does not destroy our union and much cherished Ocean Breeze locale. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jonathan Cooper?
Jonathan Cooper, 221 Ocean Breeze, 2 times in one night.
Our lucky day.
Lucky us, yeah. So I'm here opposed to this name change. Look, I understand why it's being done. I get what people are talking about. I think there's a couple of thoughts that I just kind of come to mind as part of this process. The folks who are bringing it forward are asking to change the name of a different area of the city. And while they don't live on the block, nowhere on the 5-block area in Ocean Breeze is asking for this is coming from a different part of the city. I think that sets a dangerous precedent that one side of the city can talk about to the commission and say, I want to change something else from somewhere else without those residents' input. The other issue I bring up is, I think, priorities. I mean, this is really, I wouldn't consider this a top priority for the city in terms of making this, but what we're doing is, I think, pitting neighbor against neighbor without, again, basically due process involved in that. And I think that Laurel brought this up really well. This changes a decade precedent, right? For a long time, the block's been called what the block's been called. It did not change that after another part of the city decided, we want to change our name as well. And that's great, but there's a process to do that. If they don't like their name, they could change their name to something different, right? And I feel like that's we're setting some dangerous precedents as part of this process. I'd be careful about letting one part of the city tell another part of the city what to do. And I hope you think about that as you make your decision. Thanks.
Thank you. Herman Robinson.
Okay. I don't care. I'm sorry. I really don't want to be here about this topic.
How does it feel, Marvin?
Thank you all for being here. And thank you for getting a resolution or the ordinance about the notice developers. That's a long time. Of course, in Lakewood, we made an issue out of everything. And I don't know whether you're going to legislate to eliminate confusion. I can appreciate your frustration to do something, but maybe this doesn't require doing anything. Voted. We're talking probably about 5 people who probably weren't really enthused about changing the name at all. Anyhow, I remember back in 2009, there were people that obviously didn't want to change Gulfstream to Ocean Breeze. Someone said they didn't want it to be too fancy, too nice, which I thought Ocean Breeze sounded a lot better than North Bow or South Bow, South Street. So the process is a concern for mine that we're reaching out, but we're actually now going to consider changing the name without them reaching out. We're talking about 22 addresses in 5 blocks in each direction. Maybe in the 600 block, continuing north on North Ocean Breeze. They'll want to change that name of that section of the street to something else. Maybe a moratorium on this idea. People are getting used to they should spell north on their correspondence report. Maybe a compromise with communicating with people that live in these 2 5-block areas might be consideration. I don't think you have to do anything tonight to make sure that people will deliver. We're talking about people who make mistakes in the postal system. That's not going to stop the mistakes. And we like, if we live on Ocean Breeze, and I would hope you don't change the name of Ocean Breeze. North Ocean Breeze is North Ocean Breeze. North Palm Beach is North Palm Beach. Palm Beach is Palm Beach. There's a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Herman. Is Sabrina Russo here? She left. She is for the change. She's asking to change the Ocean Breeze to South Ocean Breeze. She lives on North Ocean. She's been having trouble with neighbors, do not receive mail, people trespassing on the property has become a safety issue. I've heard, they may not be able, I think a lot of us have heard from people that live on, other parts of things. Jane Thomas.
Sorry for the laugh, but I delivered a lot of packages to 217 North Ocean Breeze with a smile on my face. And during the pandemic, I sanitized them and made sure the pediatric nurse who lived in the house knew I sanitized them. But I never once complained because I knew about the change and how long it takes to get sunk in. History of Ocean Breeze, number one, sometime before 2009, the neighbors on South O Street decided to change the name of the street to Ocean Breeze. They partnered with the neighborhood association and notified by in various ways on multiple occasions, every single house on North and South O Street, every one, multiple occasions. I remember because I wasn't involved at all in that time. It was like, here we go, okay. I knew everything about it. It was a disappointment to learn North O Street did not want to change their name. And it was stated that some didn't want to be associated with the shabby multifamily units on South O, the ghetto. We didn't get insulted. We didn't get upset. We moved forward with the change. We didn't complain. We didn't try to force North O Street to change their name. And it was sad they didn't go along. There's a certain amount of confusion in the beginning because name changes take time. But we toughed it out and it became the unique enclave it is today. 13 years later, currently GPS systems, most of them have updated with Ocean Breeze and North Ocean Breeze, and the 5-block issue will resolve itself. We had the pandemic in there that was very tough. There are only 22 duplicate addresses. The timing of the North's name change was not only 10 years late, but coinciding with the pandemic. I think Laurel covered the whole thing. It was an already difficult situation. As anyone on Ocean Breeze can tell you, it takes time for an address change to catch on. Number 5 is really important. Ocean Breeze is not in the south end of town. It is south of Lake and Lucerne. Yes, it is south of Lake and Lucerne. It's 5 blocks. People don't think of it as south. And to take a 5-block street that's been known as Ocean Breeze for 13 years and then put the word south on it is confusing, especially for people looking for Ocean Breeze, because it is a known entity. You don't look too happy, Mrs. Mayor.
I'm listening.
Anyway, another thing is that it's not just not on the south end of town. It's such a short street. Every single property on Ocean Breeze is within walking distance to every single amenity in Lake Worth Beach. From the beach, the Intracoastal Waterway, the golf course, everything, walking distance. It's unique, it's special. And like Palm Beach, North Palm Beach, it was a good analogy. The North Ocean Breeze goes the whole way up to 18th Avenue North. It's almost 2 miles. It takes 40 minutes plus to walk to 2J's from up there. If Ocean Breeze went the whole way down to 18th Avenue South, I don't know if we'd be having this discussion. First off, I think they would have asked us maybe, but it might have been a little bit of a different situation. I'm worried about confusion over
Time.
suddenly, oh yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Anyway, we're being treated like second-class citizens. No one ever consulted us.
Thank you. Stephen Aaronstein.
Read the comments.
Oh, okay. There's no reason to change my street name against our wishes. Ocean Breeze is a well-known neighborhood, not in the south end. Thank you. Okey doke. So that takes you-
Signed up online this week.
I'm sorry?
I signed up online this week.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Oh, Matt McConnell.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Madam Clerk, what is your name, ma'am?
My first name is Dory. My last name is Streifel, 411 North Ocean.
Okay, wait. I just have to make sure with the communication issue. Madam Clerk, did this lady's online comment come?
I didn't fill out a comment. I signed up online to speak.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Dory Steibel, 411 North Ocean Breeze. I've lived in the city of Lake Worth since 1999. I actually previously lived at 128 South O Street, and in 2004 moved to North O Street. There's obviously been a lot of issues with deliveries, Instacart, pizza, Home Depot, all of those issues. For me, this is not a delivery issue. This is a safety issue. On a regular basis, at least once a month since the name change, I have people trespassing on my property. I have workmen who come to my property. I have tree trimmers who come to my property. And the most concerning issue is that at 411 Ocean Breeze, there is a short-term rental. So I have people coming into my home, coming past my gates, coming into my backyard, and I have a 7-year-old daughter. They're trespassing on my property at night. I don't know who these people are. It's very upsetting that I do not have peace on my property. The other issue is that we've had an ambulance go to a vacant house across the street. Obviously, they're not coming to the right address. Even our own firefighters don't know where to go. So for me, this is a safety issue. It has not resolved. It's not a pandemic issue. Best practices for urban planning. When you have a city laid out in a grid, divided in the center, you have to have directionals unless you have consecutive numbering. We do not have consecutive numbering. There are 2 411 Ocean Breezes right now. Yes, it's annoying. I can't tell you how many pizzas have been consumed that I've paid for that have gone to 411 Ocean Breeze. But the issue for me is that I can't keep having people come to my home in the middle of the night, trespassing on my property, trying to find the Airbnb at 411 Ocean Breeze. I didn't vote to change the name. I didn't vote against to change the name. I recognize that the neighbors on Ocean Breeze don't want to change. I respect that, but we can't continue to have this confusion. It's a safety issue and somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to pull a gun on someone. They're going to think somebody's breaking in. We can't keep having this confusion. So I would respectfully request that best practices for urban planning be utilized. Either Ocean Breeze needs a directional, which is the normal course. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
That's not gonna fix it. Put an S on it.
Do I have a motion?
Well,
Madam Mayor,
Yep.
I do have a public comment.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
It is from Gail Silverblatt, 414 North Ocean Breeze. Thank you for this resolution to change the name from Ocean Breeze to South Ocean Breeze. It has been a very frustrating 3 years, and we hope it ends soon with your vote of approval. Our home on North Ocean Breeze has had delivery problems with UPS, FedEx, Home Depot, Lowe's, and the USPS because they tried to deliver our appliances, packages, and mail to the corresponding address on Ocean Breeze. We were tracking the delivery of a computer only to see it sent back to the warehouse marked incorrect address with the attempted delivery to the wrong address, even though the package was addressed correctly. After 4 hours of phone calls, it was finally delivered at 9 p.m. The next day it happened again. After another 4 hours of phone calls, that package was finally delivered. Computers, cell phones, washing machines have all been on trucks sitting outside of our corresponding south address, waiting for someone to come to the door. At least once a week, we have taken mail, credit card statements, and checks to the corresponding address on Ocean Breeze. All of the mail was clearly addressed as Ocean Breeze, not North Ocean Breeze. The city electric employee came out to either turn on our electric or turn it off before being told he had the wrong street. He only saw Ocean Breeze on the order and not North Ocean Breeze. We have woken up many times to find boxes of takeout food on our doorstep that were delivered the previous night to the wrong address. Numerous times over the years, we have spoken to our local postmaster, and he has spoken to the Green Acres postmaster to try and solve this problem, but it persists. With ever-changing delivery employees, a learning process does not exist. Ocean Breeze is the only street south of Lake without a south in front of its name that I can think of, and should not have been allowed to drop the south in the street name. Please approve this name change and end our frustration with delivery.
Thank you.
There.
I believe were we gonna hear about our policy? Or, well, because
Madam Mayor?
I asked.
Yes, ma'am, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
I hear low broadband signal, so I'm sorry, I keep fading in and out.
Okay,
I want to, after Commissioner Stokes.
Oh, I just didn't know if staff's here just for us to ask some questions, or if you had anything that you wanted to let us know about our name changing policy.
Now, careful how you answer that. Award you just got might go right away.
There really wasn't a presentation relative to other than kind of preface everything based on the resolution that came back in 2019. But we rolled right into public comment ahead of time. I'm sure you guys are all aware of the issue on both sides. So that was the point. You basically just mentioned what this ordinance was, this resolution wanted to do, which was, as we heard,
That's south.
correct. So we then become South Ocean Breeze. That's.
But we do have a policy. I heard a lot about precedents and the worry about precedents, and I hear a lot about the neighbors here are gonna want to change their name, and the neighbors here are gonna want to change their name. And to me, it just seems like we, as a city, have maybe done some things a little looser in the past that have led to us to where we are here, because it's not, I live on North L Street, and I'm not one day just, I'm just gonna go get all my neighbors, I'm gonna change our name to something else, and then it needs to be done thoughtfully and methodically throughout the city. I don't think that people just get to choose what they want their names to be. We have a grid system. We have, it's not like some of those other, newer developments where every road is different and all that stuff. We have like a very consistent way that our roads are named. When South O was South O, it had South in the title. It's not like it never had South in the title. So it changed and they changed, and it's creating all this confusion. The thing that worries me the most is what this lady said about, I've also gotten comments about lawn, people coming and spraying pesticides and like spraying the wrong lawn. It's the wrong lawn. It's not just a few annoying deliveries, and it has been 3 years. I did think that we were sending notices out to everybody though, so that they would know that this was.
This is under my head, it's that one.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
But my understanding is mostly based off of the name change a few years ago, that staff went and created a policy so that we can have consistency, so we have direction, so we don't end up here again in the future. So I just want to make sure whatever happens tonight is not a precedent-setting event, because we're trying to safeguard from having this happen every 6 months, because as somebody said, we do have a lot of other things we need to focus on as city. And I know we heard a lot of, why does it North O Street or Ocean Breeze spell out north? But every single, my understanding, every single street north of Lucerne, it's in, that's it.
Right.
You don't get a choice. We have consistent rules that we want to follow. They were broken a little bit with this scenario in the past. The next effort is to try to maybe correct this one awkward area and then move on, and then our city it would hopefully alleviate what's going on with.
Yeah, I mean, there's consistency. I mean, every street south of Lake Avenue is south something.
Right.
So.
But, I don't, so I just wanted to get clarification from staff that we have a policy in place now.
Yeah, so years ago, there was a street naming policy that came forward around the same time that the resolution was put together. The person that put that together is no longer with the city. So I will say that there are some modifications that need to be made, because not everyone took part in the street when we got that policy. So we, speaking with the city manager, in going through everything, realized there are multiple things that need to be modified and changed in that particular policy. And correct, like many other things in the past, this probably wasn't done the correct way at the time. Both should have been addressed at the same time or left alone altogether, but
water to the bridge, we're here now.
Mhm.
So now it's just a question of what do we do from here on out?
Okay. Any other comments? Commissioner Malega? Yeah, you have your hand up. There you are. Commissioner Malega?
Yes, I'm here. So again, sorry, I have crazy broadband that keeps going in and out. This is my district, obviously, this is a citywide issue. This is a safety issue. I'm going to piggyback on Commissioner Stark's comments. When we had our pre-agenda meeting, you know, talking about this a couple weeks ago, maybe even a month ago now, it was the city manager who said, wait a minute, we have a street naming policy? Where is it? None of us even knew, right? So nice to read the policy and understand, just like Commissioner Stokes said, we have a north and a south. Even if it's only 5 blocks, it's still south of Lake Avenue. I support this name change because I think that we do need consistency throughout the city. I don't think that people are going to come forward with name changes and wanting to change things all over the city. I do think that this is a pressing issue for the taxpayers and the residents who are dealing with this. I couldn't imagine having somebody come to my house thinking my house is an Airbnb. Like the level of intrusiveness on that is just, it's above par. And we can't make the person who has the Airbnb shut down their Airbnb. So it's kind of like, how do we navigate these waters? With that being said, I'd like to make a motion to support the name change.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Not yet.
Commissioner Diaz?
Yeah. You know, I can appreciate the perspective that from a planning, you know, from a planning standpoint, we need consistency and you know, that's preference. However, I'm not entirely convinced that a name change would fix this issue. I mean, I get North J stuff all the time. Maybe I have a history of living in places that are difficult to get to, and I understand that the onus is often on me on how to describe how to get to my front door. But you know, really what it comes down to for me is, I think, you know, this is my district. We do live with a representative government, and I think from all the communication that I've seen, which is extensive, I mean, the residents on there's, you know, on Ocean Breeze, the ones who are going to be directly impacted, they don't want this, right? And they made it very abundantly clear. I represent them. So not entirely supportive of this name change. I will say, though, that doesn't mean that I don't recognize the issues that need to be resolved. I want to do better. I want to figure out how to resolve these issues. In terms of delivery, I think some things might be a little bit easier. Post office, Amazon, FedEx, UPS, you know, we could probably get a memo or something to them, be persistent, educate them. I know somewhat how our post office works. It's not a large number of carriers, you know. I guess what I'm getting at is we need to resolve this issue, but I'm uncomfortable with, you know, one part of town trying to change something in another part of town, right? If the residents who are directly impacted by this name change don't want it, it's difficult for me to support that because it is my district. But we want to do better and fix the situation.
Commissioner Stokes.
I completely, when I first heard of this, I was like, I represent District 3, and I was like, we can't be telling them what to do. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? That feels crazy. But that's not how I see this issue anymore.
Right.
Because this is, it's not just about, if this was like, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, we only had the post office delivering to us, it would be a totally different story. Yep, go to the post office, those handful of workers that live there can figure it out, we can work through this, but we don't. We have a new person within an Amazon van, right? And then a FedEx van, a UPS van, and a personal car, and Uber. It's like 100 different things. Food, the ambulance, EVT, the workers, like the Airbnb guests, like it's not as simple as it probably was 18, 12 years ago, whenever the other name change occurred. There were fewer people to have to work through. And as Jamie said, they should have both been changed at the same time or not changed at all to begin with. So it's just, at first I was like, I don't feel comfortable going and telling somebody else what to do, but it just seems, and I also want to point out, vanity name changes are not allowed, correct?
That's right.
Well, this
Anyone.
was pretty much a vanity name.
Vanity
That was a
name
vanity
changes
name.
are no longer allowed in this city because we can't have people just saying, I don't like the name of my street, so I'm gonna change it. So if it causes confusion or a mix, there's specific things
Yeah, that
outlined.
is the language that's currently in the existing naming policy, that language is banning change. That's basically so we don't have people coming forward saying, well, instead of A, now we want apple, instead of B,
Right,
instead of C, we want cactus, instead of D, and so on and so forth. So we're not just changing the name of the street just to say we want to change it.
And I mean, it's interesting if people come forward with that idea. We all knew we're trying to be historic, and historically, this city was platted as O Street, B Street, C Street, north and south. So I think in keeping with our historical thing, that name change, I'm against the name changes anyway, but we have a motion, we have a second. Do any other comments?
Do we have a motion?
Do we have a second? Commissioner Malega, you made the motion.
Seconded.
I think Commissioner Stokes seconded it. Yep.
And if I could comment just briefly, I hear Commissioner Diaz's quandary that, you know, he wants to represent the people in his district. However, there does seem to be a valid problem as well as some valid concerns like the historical aspect, like consistency with all the other streets in it. The aspect that the name change in the first place was kind of a vanity name change to start with. I consider myself somewhat of an expert because for a number of years I lived on North O Street. It was very painful, but I survived it.
And I live on South L Street. And
So
I do pretty well.
I think I support changing it to north and south, consistent with
It's
all
just
the other ones.
consistent.
The example of Palm Beach has been used, but the example of Palm Way seems to have been overlooked, which we
North
I
and
believe
south.
have a North Palm Way. and a
Lakeside.
south.
North Lakeside, South Street. Okay, so we have any more commissioner comments? Commissioner Malega? No, we're commissioners, they are, I'm sorry, public comment is closed. So we have a motion, we have a second, do we have a vote? All in favor? Aye. Okay, it's 4-1, the commission, it passes 4-1. Thank you very much.
No, we can't.
I don't
Understand. Go back to North O Street.
They were asked 3 times to change it.
13 years, 13 years.
And nobody contacted us.
Nobody told us anything until tonight. Or this thing was under my head.
Well, we've been getting emails from you, ma'am. Okay, now we are at new business.
So we did send notices out?
Yeah, apparently we did.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, we actually, to make sure we did our records, staff actually went, and notified everyone, the entire lake.
We did send notices out. Okay, I mean,
It's not like we're not making them. It's south. It's not changing their name. It's just adding south. So and every other thing.
I did want to try to schedule a big community meeting, but we have so many workshops
Yeah,
and other
really.
things that I felt noticing everybody was sufficient. I guess others don't.
Alrighty, so here,
Fixes to make sure. they don't get-
I don't think we can change names.
Well, yeah.
We have a plaque. Here's the name.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that policy for the most part now is for new developments.
Right, that would be.
Creating addresses because we have new developments coming in and they're actually creating these.
And I talked to William Waters, speaking just briefly about the history, and at one point when Lake Worth was really small, we didn't have a north and O, we just had numbers only. But then at some point it got so large that they're like, okay, we need to split this in half. And so we duplicate numbers and we have a north and south. So I don't think the idea of taking one street and then now numbering it all, crossing that barrier would ever be a
Never work,
plausible
it would never
option
work anymore.
either.
13,000 north. All right, next up is a construction.
Madam
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, before we begin new business, we might want to do a motion to extend as it's 9:41.
Oh, thank you. We can get this done by 10. All right, do we have a motion to extend beyond 10? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Well,
Begrudgingly, aye.
No, okay. All righty, so this is the agreement with Aaron's Companies authorizing the contract to construct structural pavilion improvements at Harold Grimes, bless his heart, Memorial Field at a cost not to exceed $256,770.
Thank you. For the record, Jamie Brown, Public Works Director. So this is the Community Development Block Grant, the CDBG project that was selected for the
Oh, right.
2022 fiscal year cycle. So this is the improvements to the actual structural pavilion. This the price would be to the design, engineering design, all the construction, the demo and replacement of the roof, column replacements of the column bases, as well as epoxy coating for the actual existing slab that's currently out there. Some sod work, just an overall refresh of that entire building.
A lot of people use that park, and that's a very
Yes, they do.
heavily used. Okay, great,
Yes, they
thank
do.
you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. We have, do I have a
Sorry.
second? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. You okay there, Commissioner Lee? Now, I'm looking.
I'm trying.
You're doing good. You're on vacation. You're here. Okay, so then we have the, okay, item B,
Are we on the golf course?
resolution 33. Yeah, this is a golf cart battery. I'm sorry. Resolution 33-2022 regarding buying new golf cart batteries. Apparently we have an emergency here. Do we have any explanation from staff? No? Okay. Do we have, Jamie's like, what are you doing at me?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Okay.
Oh, wait, I see somebody up there, Andre.
Andre was here, Madam Mayor.
Andre, hi.
Hi.
All right.
For the record, Andre McEdden, Controller. You pointed out what the item is for. As you know, the golf course has ordered electric golf carts, but they haven't arrived yet. And because of that, the existing golf carts needed new batteries. So we had to make an emergency purchase so they could have batteries so everyone could still golf. And that's what this is. We're essentially just replenishing the line item since this was an unexpected expense.
Okay, thank you.
Second, Malega did.
Yeah, Commissioner Malega did, so Commissioner Stokes second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very
Aye.
much. Aye, yep, thank you. Okay, now we are going to resolution 34-2022, which was handed to us, and this is the resolution in favor of the affordable housing needs assessment that Congresswoman Willis is going forward. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye, thank you very much. Thank you. We need to get this to Congresswoman Frankel. Okay.
We had all our reports at the top of the meeting.
What?
We had all of our reports.
Yeah,
Earlier,
we
so-
did that already.
We're good.
Yes. Public comment, sure did.
No, we didn't even need to extend.
Madam Clerk, I'm kind of pushy about that.
Just in case.
Usually it's
Just in case.
Usually it's Commissioner Maliga that does it to us, but we appreciate you staying on top of us on that.
We try.
You do a fine job and we appreciate it. It's late for you as well. So do I have anything we want to talk about before we have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in second?
I'd like to make a motion that we meet tomorrow night as well, so that we can make it to 4 nights.
Do I
I'm
have?
sorry, I'm losing connectivity. Can't hear you.
I'm okay with my motion being rejected.
I guess I'll second. Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Aye.
Well, have a great weekend, everybody.
Good night.
Make it to the region, like those little kids that fall asleep.